We're live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Is everything working? Amazing. Okay.
60% a human being, though? No, it doesn't.
Oh, God.
If I peel it, like I just did, and I eat it, am I engaging in 60% cannibalism? No, I'm not. Of course not.
Oh, my God, bro.
It's ridiculous on its face.
I agree.
But it's likely my opponent's going to try to tell you that Trump shares X amount of traits with fascists, exactly what he did. And so he's mostly a fascist. He's mostly a fascist, which is mind-boggling to me, but the standard fare argument of the idiot left. This needs to be rejected immediately for the obvious reason, which ideologies have overlap but differ greatly in what they actually are and why they are or are not the thing. My opponent defines fascism, and I quote, "Fascism is a reactionary, ultranationalist, authoritarian movement characterized by appeal to a mythical past, malicious delegitimizing of institutions, and pursuit of power to suppress outgroups and vilify outgroups. It arises as a response to perceived upheaval of sociocultural norms, national embarrassment, or elitism in society." He bases this definition largely, he says, on fascist scholars like Robert Paxton, Jason Stanley. I think that they would...
Damn, Matt Nuclear's, I don't know he was that much of a scumbag. That's crazy. Damn.
His definition, honestly, because they don't consider Trump to be a fascist. They don't consider him to be a fascist, which is hilarious.
This was hilarious. Bro, this is when I knew. I was like, oh, bros, what? Why would you so confidently say this? I still don't understand what the purpose of this was, because I assumed after referencing Paxton and Stanley in my opening that Andrew was just going to open up by saying, they're political hacks, I don't care. But he doesn't say that. He says, those scholars you cited, they don't even think Trump's a fascist. You don't think I would have checked that? Like, you don't... Like, what do you... And he says it with such confidence that I'm there like, what? Have I been reading fucking AI articles? Like, he seems pretty fucking sure of himself. I could have sworn they both called Trump a fascist multiple times, but you're debating not today. Tomorrow, though. Tomorrow we should be back to daily debates.
It's delegitimizing of institutions and pursuit of power to suppress outgroups and vilify outgroups. It arises as a response to perceived upheaval of sociocultural norms, national embarrassment, or elitism in society. He bases this definition largely, he says, on fascist scholars like Robert Paxton, Jason Stanley. I think that they would reject his definition, honestly.
I literally laid out, first of all, in my opener, how the definition that I gave is derived from their work. That was the whole point of the intro. I guess he was too busy fucking smoking a cigarette and getting the banana ready for his little banana joke.
Because they don't consider Trump to be a fascist. They don't consider him to be a fascist, which is hilarious. Okay? Even Paxton, post J6, right? When he said that he's fine with the label now, still doesn't consider Trump to actually be a fascist.
Bro, this is just a lie. This is just a lie. It's like, Robert Paxton. It's so crazy. Articles called, "I've hesitated to call Donald Trump a fascist until now." And he literally says, the label now seems not just acceptable, but necessary. Like, what? He's not just saying it he's saying it's necessary now to describe Trump as a fascist. And
they don't consider him to be a fascist, which is...
Whoa, I was mind blown here. I was. This is where I realized what was about to happen for the next 3 hours. You can see on my face here, I was like, oh, he's just going to say random shit. Because he's not even doing the thing you'd expect, which is saying, I don't accept those scholars, their definition is bullshit. He instead says, those scholars don't even think he's a fascist. Checkmate, liberal. Well, I was mind boggled. Why would you say this? Did someone in his audience send him like a fake article? Like, where is he getting this?
Even Paxton, post J6, right? When he said that he's fine with the label now, still doesn't consider Trump to actually be a fascist. Under his criteria of fascism, which I'll grant for the sake of argument, Sanders would be a fascist. Bernie Sanders, the guy this guy likes. If we took out ultranationalists, he would fit every criteria Con listed.
I didn't even catch this in the moment. So he's saying we can call people fascist even if we remove the ultranationalism. What the okay.
Has an authoritarian movement. He wants to nationalize.
According to your definition, if we change your definition, then something else would be the meaning of your definition. Okay.
The industries away from the private sector. He would need state power to do so in a way which would obviously be oppressive to private interested parties and people. He appeals to and speaks positively of communist nation, appeals to their past policies and glories. He delegitimizes institutions maliciously like healthcare, police forces, ICE, all sorts of things. He wants to use state power to build.
Again, the use of the word malicious here was very intentional because I think it's possible to attack institutions and change institutions when there's genuinely issues there. But when people are critiquing and trying to change institutions in good faith, it's not done to consolidate power with themselves. It's done to make the institutions more fair, for example, right? And when Trump delegitimizes institutions, it's not like he's doing it out of, I really think that like, for example, Democrats will say, oh, we have to get rid of the Electoral College. We have to get money out of politics. When Trump does it, it's like the crimes are not real if I do them. That's like the delegitimization of institutions he does. He's saying Bernie is maliciously delegitimizing healthcare. Do you think he wants to hurt people or something?
Legitimizes institutions maliciously like healthcare, police forces, ICE, all sorts of things. He wants to use state power to vilify the outgroup, millionaires and billionaires, and he wants power to do so. Now, is Sanders a fascist? Of course not. This is an example of how nebulous this broad definition can be used because it's just silly. Would this make him 60% fascist? No, it's ridiculous because the core pillar isn't there anymore. It's not there anymore for Sanders than it is for Trump. And that's this one pillar, ultranationalism. While I have a very different definition from Mr. Khan, I got to use a Star Trek reference of Khan, right, on what fascism actually is, and the pillars which hold it up, I would like to point out by his metric, Trump isn't a fascist and can't be because he isn't an ultranationalist. And without that, the whole pillar and House of Cards falls down. Nationalism is a belief your country should come first before other nations.
You know what this tells me? So the moderator didn't only tell Andrew the definition I proposed, he also told Andrew that I'm referencing Robert Paxton and Jason Stanley. And I would expect that he would read anything from them at all if he wants to do internal critique. Like anything, he didn't even read the article where Paxton comes out and says, I've changed my mind, Trump is in fact a fascist. He didn't even read that. And I think what he was trying to do is, let me open up the document. So according to this definition, I think what he was trying to do here is project. He said he does this thing where he's like, I'll accept your definition, but even according to your definition, you're wrong. But then he doesn't accept your definition. He makes up his own version of your definition, which was funny here. But yeah, let's let him flesh out his points a little.
Ultranationalism is the belief your nation comes before everything else. God, family, morals, job, interest. The state becomes the core of the ideology, and it is an ideology, not just a core of traits. Trump is barely even a nationalist, let alone an ultranationalist. MAGA, his base of supporters, isn't asked or required to put Trump before God or family or other value systems they may hold. Not to mention, he has some pretty anti-nationalist policies like gold cards to buy citizenship.
Like by this logic, you could never have someone who's like a Christian ultranationalist, right? Because they probably wouldn't put nationalism ahead of God. I don't know where he's getting this from. I want to just look up. Because the definition of ultranationalism is like nationalism that's ultra. It's like extreme nationalism that promotes the interests of one state or people above all others. To deny that there's ambiguity here is crazy. And it says nothing about the religion goes second and the state is first.
For foreign nationals, or 600,000 imported Chinese students, or hundreds of thousands of Indians brought in for cheap labor, or any number of different anti-nationalist policies I can point at. Tons of policies which Trump puts forward, and I can argue they're barely nationalistic at all, but certainly isn't an ultranationalist, and without that pillar, he can't be a fascist. Now, I'm making a positive case here, to be fair, and so is my opponent. I'm saying Trump is not a fascist. He's saying he is. So I want to be charitable there. This is not I get to stay on the fence and just pepper him about his definition. He gets to interrogate me as well. That's fair, right?
There's nothing charitable about what Andrew
I'm happy, on demand, to provide my definition for fascism, its course, philosophy of the third position, if you would like. I spent a lot of time in my debate career arguing against the tenets of the third position, i.e. fascism. What it is, its philosophy, its originators like Giovanni Gentili, Mussolini, others, the ideas of...
I'm pretty sure it's Giovanni Gentile, and I hate to be like, oh, it's not Gentili, but it's like... He always references this guy, and I looked into him, and I just never saw anyone pronounce it Gentili or Gentile. I don't know where.
Corporatism and the fasci, what that represents and why it represents that. What's happening here in actuality is this. The left and progressives like my opponent, in general, they want to use morally infused language to demonize their opposition by comparing them to Nazis and fascists, which they think are synonyms. They want all of the horrors of fascism to be laid at the feet of their political opposition, even if the political opposition doesn't share the ideology. And if they don't share the ideology, they just come up with new ways to define the ideology so they can make them share it. It's not that Trump is a fascist, you see. It's that the Holocaust happened and Mustache Man has the same ideology as Trump, so he's like them. And his allies in Italy and the fascists did the same thing too. This is what gives them the perceived moral high ground in which to resist the evil fascists. And that's all this has ever been. Purely performative, all lies, which is going to totally fall apart when I put this to the question. Watch. And with that, I'm happy to get into this. Now, I have each definition for semantic certainty that you could ever want. If you want ultranationalism, you want definitions for anything in my position, I've got them on hand. We're ready to go. I hope you got the same thing so that we can skip the semantics and get right to the meat of it, right? But yeah.
So that was a fucking lie.
I'm with that. I'm ready to get right into this.
You got it. With that, we'll jump into the open dialogue. First, folks, if you didn't know, if you can't make it to DebateCon 7 this Saturday in Houston, Texas, you can watch it live from home. It's a perk for our Final Word channel membership tier. Check out those memberships right now by clicking the join button. And also, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, whether you're watching here or elsewhere. We're going to kick it into the open dialogue. And gentlemen, do I understand you guys are cool with debating each of your definitions in terms of, does Trump fit the definition of...
Well, each of our positions. My position would be that Trump is not a fascist. My opponent is saying that he is a fascist. And so we'll be debating from both of those angles. I don't care if the front half of the debate is loaded against me or against you. It doesn't really matter. I think it's fair to pepper me about what I think fascism is, just like I'm about to pepper you with what you think fascism is.
Sure.
Okay.
Either of you have a preference on whose definition we use first?
Well, let's go with Khan's. He's the one who's making the positive claim that he is the thing. And then we can get into mine. Or we can, even as we go, you can ask me if you'd like. That's fine.
I'm curious, Andrew. Can you just quickly share your broad-based definition of fascism that you'd use as like a shorthand?
Yeah. So fascism is an ideology that proposes corporate...
Oh, man. I shouldn't be so charitable. Even there, I'm not asking him, give me your word-for-word definition right now, and if you deviate by it even once with a comma or a period or an extra second, I will hold your feet to the fire. I'm asking him like, hey, man, just like shorthand, like just give me your general definition. Broadly speaking, when I'm debating my definition and someone else is debating theirs, I ask them to explain their definition. I don't try to project my own interpretation while asking, like, if someone says, this is how I define X, I'm probably going to ask follow-up questions like, okay, what exactly do you mean by this? I'm not going to tell them, this is what you mean by this, and you're wrong. Checkmate. Like, it's silly.
Palingenetic and ultranationalist state. That's what fascism is.
Okay. I just want to start off by addressing a few of the things you said in your opening statement. So
yeah, hang on real quick, because I want to get some semantics out of the way, if you don't mind, just to make sure that we got this right. Ultranationalism is defined by you as what?
I would say that ultranationalism frames greatness of nations as a zero-sum game where a nation's glory is derived from dominating other countries.
I have a quote here from those original fascists. I want to see if you will agree to this. Ultranationalists, from their view, all within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state.
Is this an ideological thing or a descriptive thing?
Yeah, of course it's ideological.
My definition of fascism isn't even ideological, so I would reject that off.
Okay, how's it not ideological?
Like I said, it's a socio-political phenomenon. That is how Robert Paxton...
I guess bro just did not listen to anything in my opening statement.
Jason Stanley describe it. And just to quickly clarify there...
It's not just how they describe it.
Hold on. They both call Trump a fascist. Robert Paxton says he doesn't use the word fascist because he finds it's basically colloquially lost all meaning. But after January 6th, Robert Paxton did say that Trump now meets the characteristics of fascism. Nope. And Jason Stanley has been saying the same for years.
No,
They both call him a fascist. They both do. They both literally do. I don't know why he wanted to die on this hill. I'm still so shocked that he didn't just open by saying, my opponent brought up Robert Paxton and Jason Stanley. Those guys are political hacks. Why did he even give them credit in the beginning? They wouldn't even accept your definition. He says it with so much confidence. Did someone feed him? Is someone trying to sabotage Andrew? Is that what this is? Is there someone in Andrew's fan base that was like, in his chat, like, Stanley never called Trump a fascist. Tell him. Because why would he even do that? I don't understand it.
Well, first of all, Stanley's a political hack. Paxton is serious.
Of course you're gonna say
No.
Why did he open then by saying Stanley wouldn't accept my definition if he's just a political hack who would accept my definition because he's so political? Why did he even open by... my brain was like malfunctioning when he was saying this because I was realizing that however much bad faith I expected, he was just going to turn it up to 11. It's so weird. I expected the bad faith stuff to come out towards the middle or end as we started getting more nitty gritty, right? But to go off rip is crazy.
Being on Paxton is serious.
I love that you're just laughing at him. Yeah, because it's like when someone engages in such bad faith, like you probably shouldn't take it seriously because they're not taking it seriously, right? If someone's not engaging with my ideas in good faith, why when in the moment I was being super good faith, why when I watch back would I also be like, oh, well, he was trying, guys. Let's not laugh. No, let's laugh.
It's not a political hack. Like that guy is an actual, like he has studied fascism. There's no if, answer.
Everyone, I want everyone to just laser this into your brain. What Andrew says here about Robert Paxton.
Nope.
And Jason Stanley has been saying the same for years.
No, well, first of all, Stanley's a political hack. Paxton is
Of course
serious.
you're gonna say that.
No, so hang on. Paxton is serious. He's not a
Paxton is serious.
political hack. Like
He's
that
not a political hack.
guy is an actual, like he has studied fascism. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
He has studied fascism, and he doesn't just leave it there. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. But indeed, he did bring up if, ands, and buts. And in the beginning, it's so funny how immediately transparent this makes the whole debate. Like, he off rip, he's like, I don't want to leave any doubt here that I came to debate in good faith. I just don't want to do that. So first I'm going to claim these scholars don't think Trump's a fascist. They both do. Then I'm going to discredit one of them despite appealing to them earlier. And then I'm going to lie about the other one who does think Trump's a fascist.
Stanley, yeah, he's a political hack. He's a leftist. Come on, man. Paxton, though, he's more politically neutral. But you're basically operating off Paxton anyway, not really Stanley, at least by the definition that you're giving.
No, I've referenced Stanley's pillars in my opening statement. I referenced both of them. It's like he's just I don't know who he's debating. Maybe is there an invisible person in the bottom right box that I'm unable to see that's making these claims?
Paxton himself did not actually say this. You're making this up. Here's what actually happened.
Bro.
Paxton has been saying for years that Trump does not fall under the criteria of being a fascist.
Bro, the label now seems not just acceptable, but necessary. Paxton's not just saying, it is now with great hesitation that I say that Trump may be a fascist. He says the label now seems not just acceptable, but necessary. And now you see the Andrew Wilson fan coping. This is why I told the Andrew Wilson fans to leave. It's going to hurt your ego to watch this. And I've seen the type of cult following he's created. I don't want to ruin. You guys have a good thing going. I understand. It's a symbiotic relationship. You glaze him. His ego gets glazed. And it's great. Whatever. You think I'm lying? Published by Robert O. Paxton, who Andrew just said, there are no ifs, ands, or buts. Very serious scholar. No ifs, ands, or buts. Here he is saying that calling Trump a fascist is not just acceptable, but necessary. I was laughing because... Oh, okay, my bad. I mixed you up with someone else. I didn't mean for you to catch a stray there. Your profile picture and name were giving me MAGA vibes. Maybe I'm mixing you up.
Post J6, he said he was fine with him being labeled that. He was very careful with his words, though. He didn't actually say there's anything new here which makes Trump fall under this label. Only that he was fine now with the label because it had some utility use.
Did you not read his Newsweek article?
He says the opposite. He literally says the opposite. He says Trump is a fascist, but I don't know how useful it is to use the word fascism in colloquial conversations. Because it's like in terms of like what it means to people, it's so amorphous and it's so hard to pin down. So Andrew's literally saying the opposite of what Paxton said. Andrew's saying that Paxton said, I don't really think Trump's a fascist, but I think we can use the label for some utility. Other way around. He said Trump is a fascist, but I don't know how useful the label is.
I did. Well, not as Newsweek. It wasn't Newsweek.
He wrote a piece in Newsweek.
He's lying. It was Newsweek.
Oh. He didn't actually say there's anything new here which makes Trump fall under this label. Only that he was fine now with the label because it had some utility use.
Did you not read his Newsweek article?
I did. Well, not as Newsweek. It wasn't Newsweek.
It was. That was the main place where it broke. This is where it broke. Like, oh my God, fascism scholar Robert Paxton finally says Trump's a fascist. It was this big thing. It was a Newsweek op-ed that he wrote. And bro says, yeah, I read, wait, no, not Newsweek. What did he read then? There's nothing else.
That he was fine now with the label because it had some utility use.
Did you not read his Newsweek article?
I did. Well, not as Newsweek. It wasn't Newsweek.
He wrote a piece in Newsweek after January 6th where he said, I'm now calling Trump a fascist.
Well, hang on. Let me pull the article up here.
Sure.
1 second. We'll make sure that we have it correct. But yeah, that was my interpretation from it because of the very first line. Read the very first 2 lines. It's all vibes and feelings, bro. Just read it.
I thought he's already impugning his character. He's just, I know you're friendly. My bad, Chase. Oh my God, he's so stupid. I resisted for a long time applying the fascist label to Donald Trump. Wait, this is a link. Oh no. Don't tell me. Don't tell me that Andrew Wilson pulled up this article where Robert Paxton announces that he now calls Trump a fascist. And he reads only the very first sentence. I resisted for a long time applying the fascist label to Donald Trump. Resisted? Yes. He doesn't think Trump's a fascist. And did he just call it a day after that and just not scroll I'm pretty sure it's in the next paragraph, bro. No way. Is it the okay? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I guess maybe I'm assuming too much of Andrew to go fucking 4 paragraphs into something, but apparently he knows fucking Giovanni Gentili's like bloodline and all his Facebook friends and everything. Okay.
Read out loud.
The selective attention to detail is also really interesting. At times, zero sums just when like it's like no negotiation, no nothing, right? And then the other half of the time, excuse me, liberal. You need to define that word in 1 word or less right now. Oh, you can't? Everyone see he can't do that? It's like...
What?
Read the first.
It's crazy. How old is he? Like 40 or something? 40 something, I assume 43, 44. And it's always weird because I always feel like I'm like kind of young in this space. Like I'm like just turned 24 recently. It's kind of weird to zoom out sometimes and put all the context aside and be like, I'm in a Zoom call right now with this like 40-year-old dude who's like talking about bananas are half monkeys and are monkeys 98% humans, and it's just like, how'd you make it to 40 with this going on in your head, bro?
2 lines of the
How?
article that you're referencing.
Sure, let me pull it up.
Yep, pull it up.
And this is one of those things where I didn't have it written down, the exact wording that what do you call it, that Paxton used, because I didn't think this is something Andrew would debate me on, because it's a fact. It's factually true. So it didn't even appear in my mind. I didn't even consider the thought that maybe Andrew will say no, he doesn't call Trump a fascist. I didn't think I would have to have that quote ready to go, because it's
I'm curious why I pulled that up. Where are you deriving that he didn't call Trump a fascist?
yeah.
Well, he was very cautious with his language in this article.
So it's
Oh no, he did just read the. Oh my god, he did just only I was low-key making a meme earlier. I thought maybe one of his... He literally just read, I resisted for a long time applying the fascist label to Donald Trump. And he was like, liberal owned. Let's fucking go. What? What the fuck? This makes me not trust anything he says about other topics as well.
really titled.
Is this his
Make
due
sure I-
It doesn't
diligence?
matter what it's titled. It matters what
I've
it said.
hesitated to call Trump. I've hesitated to call Donald Trump a fascist until now.
Yeah,
I
that's
resisted
what
for a
they
long
are.
time applying the fascist label to Donald J. Trump. He did indeed
Look, he's leaning in to listen as if there's about to be something here that is proving. He's like, yeah, keep going, liberal. I will keep going. It says you're fucking wrong. What? He's so... It's like, this is a deep reference. Holy fuck, this is a deep reference. If anyone here watches UFC, I feel like the metaphor will make sense. The Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega fight, where Ortega has Volkanovski in like these brutal ass submissions where anyone else would either tap out or pass out. And Volk just refuses. He's like, I will not. He's so slippery. He's like, you back me into a corner, I will fucking rearrange my atoms elsewhere. I will not accept that I'm in this corner. Where he gets emboldened as I start reading the article, which disproves him.
hesitated to call Donald Trump a fascist until now.
Yeah,
I
that's
resisted
what
for a
they
long
are.
time applying the fascist label to Donald J. Trump. He did indeed display some
What are you listening up? What are you listening for, buddy? What are you trying to hear? Oh my god, bro. I wish I had found this line in the moment, because it would have been such a slam dunk. But again, you'd never think that someone would debate you on something like this, because it's just true. It's just objectively true. I really expected him to come out with Paxton's a hack. Why are you relying on Paxton, bro? Because you can't do this in the beginning and then later on, if it's not Brendan Ravel, I don't care. It's like you can't do... He would have had a way better showing if from... And yes, my biggest mistake here was I didn't understand the depths to which he'd be willing to go to eke out an optics win for his audience. I underestimated it. I almost respect... his wife was in the comments doing damage control afterwards too. It's like a couple hours after I was done eating. I'm like, let's see what the comments are like. And James had told me, hey man, like Andrew obviously is way bigger fan base than you. So like everyone's going to be cooking you no matter what happens. And I'm like, that's fine. And I'm reading the comments, and there's comments here and there saying like, oh, like Adam embarrassed him, whatever. And I'm like, yes, base Patriots. And then I see one reply, and it's all Rachel Wilson in like at least a dozen, okay, of like, you don't know what you're talking about. Andrew's been doing. It was like, in a way, it was kind of cute. I was like, okay, she's really fucking ride or die. Holy fuck, bro. The debate just ended, and his wife's in the trenches in the comments defending his honor. It's kind of cute in a way. But it also showed me that I think Andrew and apparently his wife, I think they know what this was. And that's why someone asked me, how do you feel about this? Because in terms of substance, like, did this go anywhere? No. When you've been doing debates long enough, you start to, and I feel like people will back me up on this that have done debates a lot. You start to kind of see what's going on under the surface, like all the little tells that people have in how quickly they abandon a point that they just made super confidently. Like when someone says something with their chest and 5 seconds later they refuse to repeat it again and debate it. Like there's these certain things that over a 3-hour debate, wait until you go take a piss, or do you already know? I don't know what he said during that, actually. I haven't rewatched the full debate. I found the zero sum part through control F-ing the transcript. Wait, what did he say when I went to go pee? I feel like even me just so casually getting up to go pee, he was so triggered in this. And here's why I enjoyed this so much. Is like, number one, the fact that him and his fans are, it seemed to me in the immediate aftermath, doing a little bit of damage control. But number two, bro, I think Andrew and I both know what happened in this debate. It's one of those things where it's like, if you've ever sparred too, right? It's one thing to like watch a spar. It's one thing to like when two people are going at it in something. There's these like underlying dynamics, which are hard to explain sometimes on the surface. And I came out of this debate feeling like I took his soul away from him. Like I saw the life leave his eyes a few times. I saw the panic in his eyes, and then I saw him double down and say, "What did you just say, liberal?" But it's like, it's such a clear defense mechanism where I'm like, oh, this is a little hard to watch. It's a little tough. And one thing you noticed that I do in this debate is I kept breaking the fourth wall. That's the best thing to do with someone like Andrew. Is like, he wants you to play the game. He thinks you're just going to go along to get along with his fucking weird games, right? If you just break the fourth wall, like at one point I was like, Andrew, you know what I'm saying, and you're like pretending not to know what I'm saying. It's like stuff like that where I know it pisses him off because he wants someone to be like, no, that's not what I said, Andrew, and like follow him down the fucking gutter he wants to crawl into, right? But if you just kind of be like, hey man, why are you crawling down that gutter? Like, can we talk up here? It just kind of changes the dynamic. And I don't think he knew how to respond to me just breaking the fourth wall when he would be bad faith. And number two is like, every time he'd insult me or try to get under my skin, I would just kind of like laugh it off and kind of make it like a playful thing. And I think he just, a big thing for Andrew is like, he wants to set the frame. He wants you to exist and operate within the confines of how he wants the conversation to exist. And if you just refuse to play his game, it almost feels like he was throwing anything at the wall to see what would stick. And ultimately, it didn't matter if anything did stick or not, because his fans, there was no way this debate could have gone where they said I won, right? That's like physically impossible. And in fact, probably the better I would do, the more angry they'd be.
Telltale signs in 2016. I mean, you want me to read the whole thing, or
No,
he goes on to say
just
he's
right in the first line, right?
Uh-huh.
I've hesitated to label Donald Trump a fascist. Even though he had telltale signs,
Past
right?
tense.
Yeah. What was the
Hesitated
new,
past tense,
What's
right?
It's like, does he not know what if he still hesitated, he would say, I hesitate to call Donald Trump a fascist. Like, it was mind-boggling to me, because he's definitely not this stupid, but he says these very silly things with like so much conviction that even I'm there like, did he say Trump's a fascist? He gaslights the fuck out of you. It's like, I could tell him Hitler had a mustache and he'd be like, no, Hitler, really? Say it again, liberal. Really? You think Hitler had a mustache? Everyone watched the liberals say Hitler had a mustache, to the point where you're like, I was like dissociating. I was like, what is real anymore? It's like fucking Guantanamo Bay torture tactics. He makes you question the foundation of reality around you. Oh, the sky's blue? Sky's blue. What a fucking dumb leftist. What is going on right now?
New criteria, according to your definition, that Trump fell under after J6. What is it?
I believe he said the leveraging of political violence. I can find specifically.
Yeah, what about you, though? You have a specific definition here. Did you agree with Paxton that before J6, Trump wasn't a fascist?
I would think that Trump was probably in stages 2 or 3 of fascism prior to January 6th, and I think after that we started arriving between stages 3 and 4.
So he was at a certain percentage.
It's not percentages,
Back to
it's
the
stages.
argument from Banana.
It's a cute analogy, but the biology of a fruit is not analogous to a political
Donald
movement.
Trump hasn't met any of the stages of fascism. What stages?
I told you in my opening statement, dumb fucking. I said it slowly so you could write them down. I expected him also to be more thorough. So when I say I'll be making 3 claims in this debate, if I hear someone else say that, I'm writing down those 3 claims and just peppering them on those 3 claims. Andrew doesn't know my 3 claims. He doesn't know any of the stages of fascism I just said or the pillars, because he spent the whole opener just being like, get a load of this liberal. That's it. That's like the whole shtick.
According to the historic definition of fascism, what stages are you talking about?
The ones that I read in my opening statement?
Yeah, fascism was a response to socialism. That's what it's a response to. It's a third position. It's a third position.
You're describing one iteration of fascism.
No, that's the only iteration of it. Show me where else.
According to you, but
name
this
another
isn't even
fascist
settled,
nation
this
besides
isn't even
Mussolini's
settled in
Italy.
academic circles.
Well, then I don't want to hear you say it is.
You are. He's the one saying there's this one very strict definition of fascism, and only I, Andrew Wilson, know it. And this entire field of study, historians, political scientists, linguists, people who study propaganda that have been looking at these things, reading primary sources, reading internal documents, literally since the end of World War II up until now, these people have not figured out how to define fascism. They are always writing op-eds at each other and arguing and having debates. But this guy with the fucking banana meme is like, you don't know what fascism means? It's very simple, actually. Very simple. Only I can tell you, though.
I'm not. I'm giving you my definition, which I think is
telling you
based on
your
scholars
definition-
who are better.
your definition
and
is-
you're being pedantic about it.
I'm using the core arguments from the architects who made fascism.
And I just
what
told
you're doing
you
is
why
saying,
Robert Paxton said that's dumb to
here's
do.
what you're doing. You're saying, I'm using the interpretation of other people for the source material. I'm saying, I read the fucking source material.
You clearly didn't, though.
I clearly did. What do you want to know about
You literally
actual
claimed that Robert
originating
Paxton does
fascism?
not think Donald Trump's a fascist.
He doesn't.
You don't have to die on this hill. He could have just said, yeah, I misspoke. And I'm not the type of person to dwell on that. I'd be like, okay, fair enough. Why? He doesn't have to do this. Andrew, you will not lose fans if you just say, maybe I didn't read the full thing. You do not have to double down on every fucking thing that comes out of your mouth, bro.
There's no new criteria added.
Literally, it's not about new criteria. It's about Trump's behavior changing such that he now
He said
falls
that he's
under a
now
definition.
fine with the label. That's it.
Because January 6th happened. That was the context of the piece. He's like, up until January 6th, I thought Trump had fascistic tendencies, didn't think he was a fascist. After January 6th and Trump's behavior on it, I think he is a fascist. It's like, how is that complicated to understand?
Also, if you're talking about, okay, this is just, what do you call him? Giovanni Gentile is the guy who describes what fascism is, and you think Robert Paxton is valid here, he himself has said the words of fascist intellectuals, even if we accept...
Hang on,
Yeah.
you're conflating a couple things.
Immediately, he's like, fuck, he has a Robert Paxton quote. And he was just saying 30 seconds ago that Paxton does not think Trump's a fascist, and saying there are, quote, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay.
I agree that Paxton is a popular scholar for fascism.
The thing is, drilling the idea that fascism is not an ideology is like, he'll just say, but it is, though. That's like, it's like, what I say, no, but it isn't. It isn't. It's just, I don't know about doing that for 3 hours.
Namely because he basically is trying to give you guys
You
an
can watch this on Modern Day Debate.
trade argument and leftists love him. Not that I cede that his authority on
You have to
fascism.
poison the well with that.
Not that I cede that his authority on fascism is correct.
Am I blind? Am I deaf? There are no ifs, ands, or buts. Paxton is legit. He's not a... It's such an unforced error. This is why it boggles my mind that he didn't just open the debate by saying this. Right? Am I crazy for thinking this is like so confusing? To come out swinging with your... Paxton does not think Trump's a fascist. Yeah, he does. He's a fucking hack, bro. Who cares about Paxton? You just said there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and now there's buts and ifs and ands. What's going on? What's happening? It's like the fucking Mandela effect or something.
Because it has nothing to do ultimately with third positionism, and I completely reject it based on the definition that I gave for fascism, which is 3 core pillars.
You can make that distinction clear for the audience. I did do that a few times, but it's like debating Andrew Wilson and making things clear, often mutually exclusive, I will say. I really did try, and I'm sure I'm going to have criticism for myself here as well, but overarching, like, read of how Andrew acts. As soon as bro says, am I 60% banana? Or is banana 60% human? Whatever the fuck he said. I knew 5 minutes in, oh, okay, bro. I guess that's what we're doing today.
And you need to have all 3 of them there. Starting with yours, though, your definition. How's Trump an ultra-nationalist?
I actually have it written down right here. So he, hold on, there we go. He builds, fuels, and justifies his movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained. Can I finish? You'd hear the word ultranationalist in there. He builds, fuels, and justifies his movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism. He talks about the return of a golden age of the nation and an era of decline that went after.
Yeah, you're talking about what's called paleogenetics here.
That's
you're talking about
paleogenetics. Roger something.
Yeah, you're talking, but that's what it is. It's paleogenetics. So the thing.
Well, again, paleogenetic ultranationalism is like a term coined by someone named Roger. So maybe someone can tell me in the chat. Roger something. Fascism scholar, who Andrew could have brought up here because I don't think he thinks Trump's a fascist, but he doesn't. Here's the thing. I don't know what he researched. Did he go to some like bizarro version of Wikipedia? Because a lot of the facts he says, he like says the opposite of the thing that's true, and says like, yeah, I read about this. It's confusing to me. It's not even bad faith so much as like, who's vetting your info? Like, where are you getting that from? Like, where did you see that?
I didn't use the word paleogenetic.
You don't need to, but that's what it's describing. What you're describing there is not ultranationalism.
I just want to be clear. There's plenty of overlap between different definitions.
What does that have to do with ultranationalism, dude? Nothing you just said has anything to do with ultranationalism.
I already answered your question earlier.
Stop. Let me finish. It's
Okay,
tautological.
Question, let me answer.
It's tautological. Okay, what you're doing is you're saying the way that Trump is ultra-nationalistic is because he says things that can only be achieved through ultranationalism. That's not telling me how he's.
I think you're misunderstanding my claim.
Well, then tell me how he's.
So ultranationalism is sort of an aesthetic or a communication strategy in this case, where his governance frames American greatness as a zero-sum game. For America to be great, it must maximally use its power in a might makes right framework.
That's just nationalism.
How would you distinguish?
Let me go to the third pillar here. And again, I read these claims in my opening statement, and I said them slowly because I expected Andrew to write them down. I really did. He just sat there with his banana and his cigar. He uses his position of power to vilify, intimidate, and oppress his opposition. Wait, this is the wrong one, sorry. He builds, fuels, and justifies this movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism. And in my opening statement, I read the Trump quote, which is super fucking ultranationalist. This is crazy. The bedrock, this is a Trump quote, the bedrock of our politics will be a total allegiance to the United States of America, and through our loyalty to our country, we will rediscover our loyalty to each other. This is like so clearly a propaganda technique of like, our country has been disrespected and denigrated and it's been desecrated and we have to reattain the glory of our country by having total allegiance to the country. This is like pretty straightforward stuff.
I already told you, but I'll tell you again.
When does it become ultra? Where's the line for you?
I'll tell you exactly where the line comes in.
Yeah.
When it becomes that all loyalty is to the state, that's ultranationalism. When everything goes all within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. The whole point of fascism was to utilize ultranationalism, loyalty to the state, to introduce corporatism. It couldn't work without ultranationalism.
So do you think ultranationalism...
Hang on. Because ultranationalism itself, right, is not... corporatism is not even possible absent that. So threshold breaker is not... So let me ask you the same question in reverse. When does ultranationalism become just regular nationalism?
I mean, it's obviously a blurry line. There's not going to be
so
one where like, oh, now all of a sudden it's... No,
so
we can talk about specific examples that would illustrate where the line is. I don't know if you want me to give you a one-sentence summary of a topic that scholars have been debating for decades.
Well, hang on. You can't say to me, Andrew, where's the threshold breaker? And I give it to you. And I ask you the same question in reverse. Where's your threshold breaker?
Even the host looks confused.
You can't say to me, Andrew, where's the threshold breaker? And I give it to you. And I ask you the same question in reverse. Where's your threshold breaker?
Because you're the one who took issue with the threshold. I didn't say anything about threshold.
And I already gave him my threshold. Ultranationalism and nationalism, if you notice, the difference there is the word ultra. And this guy wants you to believe that there is some objective definition out there of what ultra means, when it's fully a threshold question. When does it be? Like, what does ultra mean? Of course, it's a blurry distinction. Um, someone brought this up in the Discord yesterday. It was a great point. I screenshotted it. Hold on. Jay Geezer 13. Paradox of the heap. Paradox of the heap. Let's look into that. Paradox of the heap. Paradox of the heap questions how vague concepts like heap, tall, or bald work by showing that removing or adding single units doesn't seem to change the category until an absurd point is reached. Oh yeah, because basically it's like, okay, if someone has no hairs on their head, we all agree they're bald. If they have one hair on their head, we'd also still call this person bald. But there's going to be some numbers of hairs on their head where now they are no longer considered bald. But is there a discrete value you can give me of what is the number of hairs one has to have on their head to go from bald to not bald? Despite the fact that we recognize them as two distinct categories? I don't think this is the best point you made. Distinction, black and white terms. Wait, I don't think this is the best point you made. A clear distinction, black and white terms. The thing is, ultranationalism and nationalism are also going to be distinguished in terms of like policy, ideology, and rhetoric. So here, I'm referencing a rhetorical and propaganda strategy, and Andrew is referencing ultranationalist governance, where the line is going to be very blurry. In terms of my line, I think I already told him zero sum, right, at this point? And he's just being intentionally obtuse.
You did. You said ultranationalism. You asked specifically this question. When does nationalism become ultranationalism? I gave you the exact
why did I ask
criteria.
that question?
I gave you because you haven't told me what ultranationalism
No, because
is.
you said Trump. That's nationalism, not ultranationalism.
Yeah, that's nationalism. Correct.
To
So
you.
what's the difference? Well,
Hold on,
how is
hold
it?
on.
What's the difference
I
between
just have
nationalism and ultranationalism?
maybe we're talking about different things here. Do you think ultranationalism cannot be a rhetorical strategy? It's just an ideology?
Yes.
So it can't be a rhetorical strategy.
Well, I mean, you can allude. Anything could be a rhetorical strategy.
Okay, so when I'm talking about fascism, I'm talking about number one, how it behaves, and number two, how it presents itself.
Yeah, but
through
that doesn't mean it
propaganda.
is the thing.
And that is where ultranationalism comes into it. Just like the mythic.
I thought we were talking about nat versus ultranat. But here's the thing. Even when I say zero sum, that sounds black and white. But then if you actually go into like people's rhetoric and their policy, it's going to be messy. Maybe at times they use a zero sum phrase here and there for effect, but they don't actually consistently message that way. Maybe the entire core of their messaging, like with Donald Trump, is the zero sum thing itself. This is why I said like you have to give examples to be able to categorize. Even if I can say zero sum, that's more clean in a theoretical sense than an applied sense, if that makes sense. It can be blurry, but not in the same way as the heap problem. That's all I mean. Am I going Pettit mode? Maybe you are. I don't know. I think the heap thing is pretty accurate there, where there's two distinct categories, but where one becomes the other is more of a gradient, right?
He describes, I don't believe there was actually a mythic past, Andrew.
So what's
That's
ultranationalism? What is it? What is
I
it?
already told you.
Yeah,
It frames American greatness as a zero-sum game. For America to be great, it must maximally use its power in a might makes right framework.
And what's the
That is
difference
how
between
it's framed.
that and nationalism?
It's not a zero-sum game necessarily. It
So
doesn't
what's the
take things to
difference?
that
So
extreme.
is there a difference or not?
Zero-sum game?
Is there a difference or not?
Yes,
I'm
I think
asking if it's zero-sum.
ultranationalism takes nationalists into zero-sum territory, which changes how it's going to behave on a world stage and
No.
starts overlapping with imperialism as well.
No, ultranationalism from a fascistic point of view.
From your fascistic point of view.
From
your definition.
Giovanni Gentile, the orchestrator of fascism. The
This is like
inventor of
asking
it.
a cult member how cults work and using his ideology to define like the science of cults. Like it just doesn't make sense to take
What are you
one
talking
iteration
about?
of fascism in Italy and say this is how we define all fascism now. Like why can't we have a diagnostic framework? Here?
Ultranationalism has to be distinct from nationalism somehow. When you
Like how I said it was.
say the things that you just said can be attributed to nationalism, here's why, and not ultranationalism. Let's look at the distinctions here. When you say you're a nationalist, you're putting your nation before other nations. That is a zero-sum game.
Not necessarily, no.
Most of the time, it's a zero-sum game. The idea here is if it's good for
And here he now is about to go on an entire argument about zero-sum games without knowing what they are. Fully without knowing what they are. He is now about to tell us all about zero-sum games because I said the word, and instead of just asking me what does that mean, he's just going to tell us what it means apparently.
that is a zero-sum game.
Not necessarily, no.
Most of the time, it's a zero-sum game. The idea here is if it's good for me, right? I'm going to do if there's two choices presented to me, this one will be good for you and me.
No,
or
but
this
what
one over,
ultranationalism says-
stop, bro. Or this one over here will be much better for me than you, right? Then you take that one. That's usually nation first. Ultranational.
He's like so fragile. I don't know why he does that. Stop, bro. Bro, just let me. You're trying to tell me how I define something. How about let me clarify my own position? Like,
The threshold delineate.
it's like this was him telling me what my position is, pretty much. And every time I'd clarify, I'd be like, "That's not your position." You would know my position better than I would? What?
Is that the state itself becomes a body, and that's where the allegiance and loyalty must
That's the
always
ideology.
lie, is to the state.
That's the
from
ideology.
from the people's perspective. That's what actual ultranationalism is. You're talking about just nationalism, the idea of putting your nation above others. So what?
Putting
Yeah,
your
it's
nation above
nationalist,
others
okay.
is different than saying that every instance of another nation being great is somehow subtracting from the finite amount of greatness that exists, and America must seize this greatness. If someone else is doing well, it must mean we've been ripped off as a country.
Oh,
that
is
is one
that
step
right?
above just
So
nationalism.
what is? Let me ask you this: when you say it's fundamentally un-American, which you say all the time, what does that mean?
When did I say
you,
it's fundamentally un-American?
When you say things are fundamentally un-American, this is
did I
an
say that?
un-American thing.
When did I say that? In this
I
entire
don't
debate?
remember the exact debate, but you did say that sounds un-American.
Oh, you're
He's just watching my debate VODs and without giving me any other context on what I said. What did you mean when you said this? I didn't say it here. You said it one time, though. You did. What did you mean? I don't fucking know what I meant. You didn't tell me what the context was.
American thing.
When did I say that? In this entire
I don't
debate?
remember the exact debate, but you did say that sounds un-American.
Oh, you're saying at some point in the past, okay?
Yeah, that's un-American. What does that mean?
It
When you
depends
say
on
it's
the context.
un-American.
It depends on the context in which I said it. I'm
Well, are
probably
you-
alluding to like liberal democratic values of the
So
Constitution.
you're alluding to some
broadly.
like previous time when you think things were more American?
No, I'm alluding to values.
You're okay. So ideology.
Values. I mean, ideology can be kind of like a formalization of values, but
I don't
they're not
even-
necessarily synonymous.
I think they are. I don't know how you get to values without ideology.
Okay, you can just have them as like a.
Am I crazy? I feel like values come before ideology. Matt Raid, what's up? What's up? Everyone coming from the Matt Raid. We're not doing debates today. We're watching my debate with Andrew Wilson. So if you want to torture yourself and sit through this, feel free. Bro.
I don't.
They're not
I don't even-
necessarily synonymous.
I think they are. I don't know how you get to values without ideology.
Okay, you can just have them as like a.
Wait, I want to see people disagree with me on this because I feel like this is very. Don't values come before ideology? Isn't ideology like literally a formalization of values where you ensure internal consistency and you actually formalize them and you have certain structures? Welcome to everyone coming from the Matt Raid. We are watching my debate with Andrew Wilson right now. We're not doing new debates on TikTok. But someone can have values and not have a formal ideology. I feel like having an ideology means you actually sit down and formalize your values and then you kind of rework them to ensure they're internally consistent and there's an entire structure there. Someone who doesn't think about things deeply at all can have values, right? I mean, maybe I'm thinking too much from like an economics perspective, but that's just preferences, right? And I say that here.
I don't.
They're not necessarily synonymous.
I think they are. I don't know how you get to values without ideology.
Okay, you can just have them as like a sort of like a what do you call it? Like the premise of what you believe. You can just have.
I have values. I have
inherently.
values. What's the framework for them?
Do you have to be ideological to have values?
Yeah, I think you do.
So people that don't have an ideological framework, they don't value anything. They have no preferences, or
Yeah, usually they're called moral anti-realist or nihilist. So yeah,
no, but they would still
generally don't.
descriptively have.
No, dude, not everyone. Like the average person is not sitting down and thinking out like this is my worldview, like pillar 1, sub pillar 3. Like most people don't really have a strict ideology. They have like values that they've inherited from their society and maybe some things genetic and whatever as human beings, and that's where values come from. And then people using those values are going to extrapolate ideology from it.
values. They have preferences.
And again, welcome to everyone who's coming from the Matt Raid. Thank you guys so much. Again, I want to give a quick disclaimer. We're not doing TikTok debates today. We're reacting to my debate with Andrew Wilson. If you value your life and your time, I won't hate you for leaving because you're about to suffer through this with me as I did before. But if you want to laugh at Andrew Wilson, then stick around because we'll be doing much of that.
They choose to do certain things over others.
Well,
they value certain things.
hang
over
on.
What's up,
If
Matt?
they have preferences, then we're getting into ideological territory and dogmatic territory, right?
Well, an ideology is going to be like internally consistent, usually, and codified or
Yeah.
formalized.
So if you
versions
say
of
I have a
values.
preference for things I like, that's the highest value. Now we're in
That's not
dogmatic
really an
territory.
ideology, though.
That is really an ideology.
Okay, I don't know if
It
we
is
disagree
really
to disagree here.
100%
This is
an
like we're going in
ideology.
circles on this.
But
I don't
anyway,
know.
that aside, the distinction here is on ultranationalism versus nationalism.
Yeah.
The whole idea for ultranationalism within all of the framework in World War II, especially.
Yeah, I understand
Right,
your definition.
was not just with Germany. It was, right, it's 1,000-year millennia. It's going to be the Third Reich 1,000 years into the future from Benito Mussolini. This is going to be futurism, man. We're going to be Italians with cool cars and we slash each other's faces with swords and shit. We love this stuff, and we have part of this is going to last for 2,000 years. That's what it's going to be. It's an ideology which is formatted around the loyalty and body of the state being adhered to as the highest value of the citizen. That is ultranationalism.
That's how
Trump
you're
does not
defining it.
run. Trump does not run anything. Well, you can't give me a threshold breaker. You just say, I don't know.
Wait, do you think that two things can't be distinct if there isn't a very like
I think
solid
you're not
line
making a
between them?
case. You're not making a case, though,
No,
for how
but
these are distinct.
The supposed issue you're trying to point out in my logic, I'm just trying to clarify if you'd hold that standard in other situations. Do you think if there's like a blurry delineation or a blurry distinction between two concepts, that means we ought to call them the same thing?
Not always, unless we have something which is conceptually a delineation which is provable.
Do you accept there can be ambiguity in delineations of concepts that are very
Sure.
closely related?
Yeah, of course.
That's all I'm saying.
That's part of my argument, but it has nothing
Part
to
of
do
my
with
argument as well.
has nothing to do with this argument.
Has
What you're
everything
asking
to
me
do
to
with
do, what you're asking me to do is
Maybe he realized Oh, what's up, Dean? Maybe he means not everyone has a realized ideal. Yeah, so implicitly people, but I don't know if I'd call that ideology. I guess you could, but when I think of ideology, I'm thinking of something more explicit than implicit. But I guess you could have a underlying ideology that motivates your what Jordan Peterson would call your God, right? Your underlying motivation or whatever. But man, with a pedant like Andrew, it's like, what do these words even mean at any point?
Vacuum tell you if there can be overlap or ambiguity between concepts or relations of ideology.
Or I guess not a vacuum in real life as well.
I concede that is the case, right?
What do you
But
say?
in this or relations of ideology.
Or I guess not a vacuum in real life as well.
I concede that is the case, right? But in this case, I'm not conceding that. So do you agree with me that while I can concede that can be the case, that it can also be the case where there is something which is distinct that can be pointed to?
The last place we find that
Let me
is
finish the
social
question. Let me
sciences.
finish the question.
Yeah.
That there is delineations which can be made
I heard
between
this question.
ideologies that can be easily pointed to, like Marxism, for instance. I can give
He's so like unnecessary. Like wait. It's like, bro, you finished your question. I heard you. Just like shut the fuck up. You'll be okay, Andrew. If you're not speaking for every single second, screaming about something, I promise you'll be okay. You're not gonna lose your fans. Let your opponent present their case.
a very easy delineation between Marxism and other forms of ideology. Stateless society could be one of those, right? Things that we could agree to as being distinct, right? And what does a stateless society mean, and how we get into that? In this case, you're not actually telling me where it is that how we get to the ultra-nationalist thing.
Multiple times.
No, you didn't. You just said there's ambiguity.
I'm glad you brought up the Marxism example. So yeah, you can probably give me easy distinctions between Marxism and like capitalism, but giving me distinctions between different types of Marxism becomes a lot more blurry. So it is true, there are many situations where delineations can be pretty binary and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. The last place where that would be true is the social sciences.
Okay, tell me that.
Biology
I
of
just
a
want to
fruit.
hear the distinction then. What's the distinction between ultranationalism and nationalism?
I've told you, making it a zero-sum game multiple times. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know
but how is that different than just regular nationalism?
Bear in mind, the whole time he's arguing this with me, he has no clue what zero sum means. He has absolutely no idea what zero sum means, and he keeps harping on this. Hold on, what just happened on my screen? He keeps harping on this. You didn't give me I said zero sum. Yeah, but why are you contesting anything I'm saying if you don't know the words I'm using?
Nationalism doesn't necessitate zero-sum frameworks.
Okay, give me an example of that.
Of like regular
Of
nationalism,
a nationalistic policy that's not putting the nation first in a zero-sum category.
but it's putting the nation first, but not in a zero-sum way.
Okay, give me an example.
So this
of
could
that.
be like doing protectionist policies.
How can you
on-
be putting the nation first unless that was a zero sum? How does the nation come first if you're compromising on the nation coming
This is
first?
tough to watch.
What are you asking?
How are you putting the nation first if you're willing
Yeah.
to compromise on putting the nation first?
What do you mean willing to compromise on putting the nation
Well,
first?
if it's the case, you agree with me.
He's so confidently arguing from a completely made up definition of zero sum. He could have just asked what I. Here's the crazy thing. He could have just asked, "Hey, what do you mean by zero sum?" and saved himself this like.
Nationalism is putting your nation first, right?
It's kind of a short
There
definition,
are
but okay.
so many
Yes.
unforced errors in this debate where I'm like, why did Andrew do that? What made you think of that?
So if
guess-
that's the case, how do you put your nation first if you're willing at the same time to not put your nation first? If you're willing
I
at
think zero sum means wanting to like be the best or something, or like wanting to be number one.
the
It's
same
like
time,
unrelated to what I've
no,
been
it's
saying.
completely related. How can you
How is it
put
related?
how can you put your nation first? Because you're saying that nationalism is nation 1st but it's not zero sum. I'm arguing that it has to be zero sum or it can't be nation first. That's the zero sum. The nation comes first.
Zero sum meaning that if the nation's doing well, that means that other countries have to be doing worse in proportion to how much better the nation's
That's not.
doing.
Well, wait.
That's
Wait
what
a
zero
second.
sum is.
Wait a second. It's also zero sum to say your nation.
He's debating me. I want everyone to understand how unreal this is. That he's debating me on the term zero sum, and he's digging his heels in. He's like, "No, liberal, I'm sick of your bullshit. It's not with zero sum." He just has no clue what it is. He has no clue.
Comes first.
This is why, for the rest of the debate, I was like, okay, at this point, I'm just going to break the fourth wall as much as possible when he tries setting the frame in some really weird way to basically perform for his audience. Breaking the fourth wall was big here, just kind of looking at the audience and saying, we can all see what he's doing, right? And then secondarily, I was like, okay, this guy's really easy to rage bait because I'm not even trying to rage bait him and he's going apeshit. So I won't lie. I did have that in the back of my mind. I was like, you know what? It's not that I'm not going to debate, but if you're going to be this bad faith, I'm going to try to trigger you a little bit here and there just to make it more entertaining for me, okay? Just to make my life a little easier and more fun.
That's a zero sum categorical statement, right?
It doesn't have to be zero sum.
Why? Then how
Your
can you, how
nation
can you
can be
always
first, while
does
other
your
nations are also
nation
doing
always,
very well.
But does your nation always come
Hold on,
first?
you understand that like even people that believe in like multilateralism and like
sure.
cooperation internationally, they can also want to
Does
put
your
their
nation
first.
always come first?
What is he talking
What are you even talking about?
In nationalism, are you always putting your nation first?
Yeah, broadly speaking, yes.
Are you uncompromising in putting your nation always first?
It depends on what we're talking about in the specific iteration of it, because you're defining it as
Well,
an
then you're
ideology.
not. Then it's
No,
P and
because
not P.
the
It's a
issue here-
philosophical
the issue
contradiction.
the issue is you're trying to debate me on the ideology of ultranationalism, and then I'm defending the rhetorical strategy of ultranationalism.
I don't know. This is not a great pivot for you.
No, it's what I've been saying since the
is it
beginning
the
of the debate,
case?
Andrew.
Yeah, but it's incoherent. This is
Bro says
incoherent.
I'm
It's P and
pivoting
not
when
P.
I read this in my opening statement.
Incoherent by going in circles and asking
It's
the same
P
question
and
over
not P.
over.
Well, because what you just said is incoherent. If it's P and not P. So the idea here is, Andrew, nationalism means you always put the nation 1st. Always, right? Right?
Yeah, but then the question is, what does putting the nation first mean?
Okay, hang on.
Right.
If you're always
It becomes
putting the nation first, then it's
ultranationalism, just
already
to clarify, which I don't think I have to because everyone here is probably smarter than Andrew Wilson, or at least more good faith than he is. It becomes ultranationalism when putting the nation first starts meaning we have to hurt other nations, right? When you believe that national greatness, there's only so much national greatness that exists in the world. And if any other country is doing well, they've taken something from us, right? They've ripped us off. They've embarrassed us. So ultranationalism is saying that other countries doing well is an affront to our nationalism. It means that we're either being stolen from or cheated, or we're suckers for not taking that greatness. We're suckers for not invading Venezuela. We're suckers for not invading Greenland, right? Like exactly, like it's a finite pie, which I try to explain to Andrew. And just like this freeze frame, I'm gonna screenshot this for the thumbnail because this really highlights it, doesn't it? This was the debate. I'm just like, what the fuck are you even saying? And he's like, like pretty much.
Yeah, but then the question is, what does putting the nation first mean?
Okay, hang on. If you're always putting the nation first, then it's already zero sum because it's an always statement.
Wait, what do you think zero sum means?
Means no compromise, no negotiation, no nothing, right?
No,
Isn't that
zero sum means there's like
Why have you been arguing me on this term if you don't know what the fuck it means, bro? Why? He could have just said, what do you mean when you say zero sum? He didn't even have to expose himself. Even if Andrew didn't know what zero sum meant, if he was smart, he could have said, well, how are you using the word zero sum? But he hates doing that. He hates saying, when you use those words, what are you actually meaning to convey? That's his kryptonite. He would never ask someone that. So when those words come out of your mouth, I'm just curious to know what you actually intended with those words. He would never... He would never do that, because if he actually debated people on what they meant with the words they said, it wouldn't go well for him.
finite amount in the pie, and that if someone's getting more of the pie, that necessarily means that someone else cannot get more of it.
I could have been such a dick to him here, because if you watch this debate, he's so ass mad about every word that I define slightly differently than him, even if it's an extremely ambiguous term, and it's something that scholars and academics don't agree on the definition of. And yeah, I think I should have. Again, it was so mind-boggling to me, and it's hard to explain in words. It was so mind-boggling to me how bad faith he was. I didn't think bad faith could be this bad faith. I genuinely was almost impressed. From him going, Paxton's a legit scholar. Paxton's no ifs, ands, or buts. Robert Paxton, he knows fascism. 30 seconds later, of course you reference Paxton. He's a political hack. Way more bad faith than Shapiro. Dude, more bad faith than Matt Nuclear. And I expected bad faith, but here's the thing. I've never sat through a full Andrew Wilson debate. I've seen clips. I've seen 30, 40-minute segments. I've never once subjected myself, this is the first time, to one of this guy's full fucking 3 to 6 hour debates, right? These are heavy. Dude, it's unreal. This is not normal. And here's the thing. I truly believe that when most people are being bad faith, they don't even realize they're being bad faith. I think that's pretty common, is that people will be bad faith without fully realizing it. They have some kind of cognitive dissonance or something. When you are this bad faith, where in the span of 2 minutes, you go from exalting Robert Paxton to poisoning the well against him. Exactly, Dan. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows. And this is what makes it kind of, that's kind of gross. It's kind of nasty. It's a 40-year-old man just on purpose lying. because he has to. I mean, I will say, like, as someone who does this as a career, I guess he's at the point where he's like, do I care about being intellectually honest? I have a good thing going. I have my platform. I'm making my money. I do the rounds on all these channels, and I have thousands of people that are going to say I won no matter what. At that point, it's very easy for people that don't truly care to just kind of like sell out their authenticity for maintaining ego and maintaining an image in the eyes of their viewers, right? Andrew can never let that image go. Econoboy similar to you is too nice, yeah. And here's the thing. In this debate, there were so many moments where Andrew tries to kind of get like a back and forth tit for tat going with me of like, yeah, well, meh. And it's like, I can keep just going one up on him with the being rude and screaming. But my kind of tactic was like, I'd rather just like laugh at him and then just call him out for the tactic he's doing. So my main strategy here was in my opening statement, making my case clear, which I think I did well, breaking the fourth wall as much as possible, and then trying to trigger him as much as possible. Because I realized after his opening statement that I was in for something I've never experienced before. I was in for a pure, I don't want to say pathological liar, but someone who will do a complete 180 on the thing he just said 5 seconds ago just for the optics of not conceding. Just for the optics of it. And he's so sensitive where I will, with no meaning behind it, be like, can I just clarify? Stop talking! Bro, let me just clarify. He didn't know what a marginal tax rate was when criticizing Sam. I'm not surprised. He doesn't know anything about policy. I was watching his debates. I was talking about this earlier to prep. And usually when he debates these topics, the first 60-70% of the debate is a semantic thing. But usually, almost always that I have seen in his debate with Destiny and people on his like live stream and stuff on TikTok, eventually he says, okay, time for internal critique. According to your definition, he's not a fascist. And that's where he starts doing the stuff where he's like, how is it authoritarian? Article 2 says commander-in-chief. And he's commanding the National Guard, which is Article 2. It's like this really weird surface level understanding of like how statutory authority works and like what the Constitution is. And did he really not comply with SCOTUS on Abrego Garcia? Garcia came back eventually, didn't he? He complied. No, he like lied for 2 months and then outwardly said he wasn't complying. And then they only brought him back to fucking indict him on some fake charges because their ego was hurt. Right? So I prepared mostly for, half and half. I prepared a lot for his excuses, right? His whole thing is plausible deniability. Do you know for certain that Trump meant to commit a crime when he did that? And here's the thing. For a lot of people who are not complete fucking idiots, that works. Donald Trump is a complete fucking idiot, though. And he has many times said the quiet part out loud. So it's like the last thing you can do with Trump, and I wanted him to do this, but I think I showed my hand too early by calling him out in my opening statement. I said in my opening statement, maybe Andrew's going to reference Article 2 and act like it gives him plenary power, right? I saw his body language change when I said that. He definitely had to scrap like at least half of his prep when I said that because he knew, oh, if he knows I'm going to say that, he probably wants me to say it and has a response prepared. So I'm just going to die on the hill of semantics.
Yeah, but then the question is, what does putting the nation first mean?
Okay, hang on. If you're always putting the nation first, then it's already zero sum because it's an always statement.
Wait, what do you think zero sum
Always
means?
Means no compromise, no negotiation, no nothing, right?
No,
Isn't that
zero sum means there's like a finite amount in the pie, and that if someone's getting more of the pie, that necessarily means that someone else cannot get more of it, right? So
Here, you'd think a normal person says, shit, I was just being really confident about a term that I was completely misusing. And this guy actually defined it in a pretty good... I didn't say anything mean to Andrew. I was like, let me just clarify what I mean. Because I really was wanting him to internally critique me using my definition. He kept trying to internally critique me by using his interpretation of my definition rather than asking me what I meant by my definition. Which I haven't seen him do that very much. Usually he'll people he debates are not maybe the best prepared, and he's able to do it to them, but it was interesting.
Better. Yeah,
it was
hang
so
on.
interesting.
Let's back up. You think that zero? Let's just make sure that we got
And here's the thing. I correct him very politely. I don't make a big deal of it. In hindsight, I should have. I agree. And instead of just saying, okay, I didn't know that, he doubles. Really? That's what it means?
Because it's an always statement.
Wait, what do you think zero sum
always
means?
Means no compromise, no negotiation, no nothing, right?
No,
Isn't that
zero sum means there's like a finite amount in the pie, and that if someone's getting more of the pie, that necessarily means that someone else cannot get more of it, right? So if America's doing better, yeah.
Hang on. Let's back up.
Hang on, liberal. You misused that word.
You think that zero? Let's just make sure that we got this right.
I think he noticed that I was also unfazed when he said that. I don't know if he was expecting me to use words lightly and like not know what these things mean. But as soon as I was like, yeah, you wanna back up and like redefine zero sum, then he's like, what do you mean by that?
If America's doing better, yeah.
Hang on. Let's back up. You think that zero? Let's just make sure that we got this right. A zero sum game. What are we referencing there?
What are you referencing there? I'm referencing the definition. Man, it's hindsight's always 20/20.
I'm referencing a situation where one person doing better necessarily means that someone else has to do worse.
Okay.
See, what I should have done here is done an Andrew and said, I'm referencing the definition. What are you referencing? Your feelings?
And so the nation...
I should have done that. I don't know why I just gave him a straight answer here and actually defined the term. It's crazy that my biggest mistake here was being intellectually honest. Fuck.
I'm referencing a situation where one person doing better necessarily means that someone else has to do worse.
Okay, and so the nation, the United States, always, to put it first, needs to be the one that's always doing best, right? Because we're putting it first. Okay, then it's zero sum.
No,
You're making an always statement that we always...
Why is he doubling down? Why? Why is he doing this? It's like the Monty Python thing where he's like, oh, it's just a flesh wound and he has like no limbs left. He doesn't have to do this. It's so confusing to me that he doubles down on these arguments where I almost gave him an out. I defined the term. He could have said, okay, I accept your definition, moving on. Yeah, Dan, I totally agree. And honestly, the more... I didn't get to fully process the execution of Alex Preddy because I was so locked into debate mode. I incorporated it into my opening statement because it felt so important, but only after the debate when I was like fully out of prep mode and emotions kind of set and you kind of start chilling. And I thought about the Alex Preddy thing, and then I saw the disgusting response on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be... This is a bridge too far for me. Anyone who can see that video of Alex Preddy and then see how the federal government responded and doesn't just think it's bad, but every normal person is disgusted. Their stomach is churned by how Kristi Noem responded, by how Stephen Miller responded, by how Donald Trump responded, by how J.D. Vance responded, by how Greg Bavino responded. Any normal, socially adjusted person who watches a video of Preddy and then sees what our government says, and then after that is like, should have stayed home, liberal. That's so insane. I can't comprehend how fucked in the head you have to be to say that. It's so crazy. This man was held down, beat in the head, shot multiple times in the back, and then his dead body was desecrated with more gunshots. They put him down like a stray dog on the street. It was fucking so dehumanizing. And to not just... It's one thing if this happened and then the immediate response from the Trump administration was like the typical conservative response. There's bad apples. We'll fire this guy. He's just a bad apple. They didn't even do the bad apple thing. They said, no. These are the best apples ever. The most pristine apples. They're caramel apples. Like, it's... What the fuck? That, to me, that is one of... what's his name? Jason Stanley's pillars is called unreality. One of the things the fascist has to do to win is destroy the truth and then take control of it, which is why they hate academia. It's why they hate a free press. It's why they hate protesters and free speech. When you can challenge their narrative and they don't have a monopoly on because we labeled you a terrorist, therefore you're a terrorist, because we put you into this box, your constitutional rights disappear. They're just gone now for some reason because we labeled you a terrorist because we felt like it. That's called manufacturing consent. That's the point, by the way, of the ultranationalism, of the mythical past, of the villainizing rhetoric. If you want to do a hostile takeover of the federal government and then abuse your power to oppress people and take away their civil rights, you can't just say that on the microphone. No one's voting for you. You have to say, I'm here to fight off the filth and the darkness and the vermin that has turned our once beautiful country into this cesspool where they're trying to turn your kids trans by putting trans on the TV. They're trying to steal your job by purposefully importing illegals who are going to vote in elections, and they're going to vote for candidates who give them more money to do daycare fraud. They've painted this existential battle for the soul of the United States. And it's potent. It's very salient. They eat it up. They love it. It's their religion almost. It's a religious level of conviction for them, where they see us as on the left as demons of some kind.
Even at the expense of other nations.
So you're
must
saying
be doing best.
it's not possible for the nation to be put first and for other countries to also be doing very well, but just not in
Hang on.
place?
Here's the problem with this, right? I can concede this point, but you still have to concede mine.
No, I don't. And Andrew, I'm not even trying to get a concession out of you. If you just accepted the definition I presented you and moved on.
What's your point?
So the thing is like, sure, you can say that the United States can do well, and you can also do well. But when we're talking about the uncompromising positions, that the United States is always going to be first in this, right? That's uncompromising.
In rhetoric.
No matter what, not just in rhetoric, in action.
And how I'm using it, it's uncompromising in rhetoric. And again,
okay, now you're going to pivot again? So not in action?
People can rewind the debate. I've been saying that it's a rhetorical strategy since you asked me first about ultranationalism. So
There's two things here. Number one, I am saying it's a rhetorical strategy. And number two, maybe I should have clarified this better. You can put America first. You can want to be first place. You can want to be number one. It just has nothing to do with whether or not it's a zero-sum framework. Like, those two things are just not tied. They're not connected. It's just not the same thing. It's not relevant. You can be first place with or without a zero-sum framework.
people think that's a pivot, they can just rewind like a few minutes back. Andrew, it's pretty simple here. Someone can be, hold on, let me just quickly address that. It's a mix of rhetorical strategies and behaviors. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that, but again, ultranationalism, I'm referring to here as a rhetorical strategy.
Maybe it's both. I don't know if you're drunk. I feel like you should know if you're drunk, but it is also sped up. It's 1.5. As to whether you're drunk, I'm not sure.
Is used as the justification for the authoritarianism and the vilification.
Yeah, but that doesn't get us. Yeah,
am I fucking crazy that this is extremely straightforward? Tell me, please. Am I crazy? This is like so intuitive to understand what I'm saying here.
Strategies and behaviors. Andrew, it's pretty simple here. Someone can be, hold on, let me just quickly address that. It's a mix of rhetorical strategies and behaviors. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that, but again, ultranationalism, I'm referring to here as a rhetorical strategy that is used as the justification for the authoritarianism and the vilification.
Yeah, but that doesn't get us. Yeah, but that doesn't get us any closer.
It's the fuel for the machine. Now, be honest. Be honest. Does that make sense intuitively, or is there like a reasonable misinterpretation? Not super intuitive IMO, we're like 3 definitions deep. I feel like the metaphor of like there's the machine, the fuel for the machine, and the target of the machine, right? The machine itself is the authoritarian power. It's the consolidation of power, right? The means is the power. The ends is entrenching the power. The way you achieve that end, the way you entrench the power, is by removing all political opposition and creating an outgroup to constantly keep people in line with you, right? The best way to unite people is to have a common enemy. The fascist needs that to maintain their grip on power. And then how do they justify that? With the appeal to ultranationalism and a mythical past.
Is used as the justification for the authoritarianism and the vilification.
Yeah, but that doesn't get us. Yeah, but that doesn't get us any closer to what ultranationalism actually is.
It doesn't get you any closer to it.
But it doesn't get anybody any closer because it's tautological. It's just like ultranationalism is the very thing that we're appealing to justify this other thing, and that's what ultranationalism is. It's like
ultranationalism is the what?
Which is like ultranationalism is the very thing that we're appealing to justify this other thing, and
ultranationalism is the thing we're appealing to. Okay, yeah, I'm appealing to ultranationalism to explain my definition of fascism.
That's what ultranationalism is. It's like that's a tautology.
And that's what ultranationalism. What is he saying?
No, I explained what ultranationalism is.
No, you really didn't.
Functional
You said
utility in fascist.
You said it's a zero-sum game.
When it comes to nationalism, yes, it's an extreme form of nationalism.
Are you saying that ultranationalists then can't make compromises with other nations?
Substantively, they could, but they'll never admit it rhetorically.
Okay, wait a second. So Benito Mussolini, the fascist, would never admit that they.
This is very clear, right? Like Donald Trump, for example, he'll get his ass handed to him in negotiations. Does he ever come out and say we compromise with China? We compromise with the EU? We went too far? No. It's always, I'm still putting America first. I'm just choosing to pause the tariff, guys. I'm just choosing to pause it. Right? It's obviously framing, which is that our country always wins. Any other country winning means we're losing. What you do in actual governance is like a different question.
Compromise with any other nation?
I mean, if it was an allied nation, he might, because it's going to be like actually bolstering his own.
What are you talking about?
If the compromise is not at the
What am I talking about? What is anyone talking about? What are you talking about? James, any answers for us? I don't think James James is zoned out. He's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Of his own nationalist sentiment, then what would be the issue with that?
Well, because in this case, I can actually give you examples of where fascists compromise with other nations, which would have been them making a compromise, even though they're
How long do you want to stay
ultranationalists.
on the ultranationalism thing?
Well, I think that it's the core of your pillar.
It's no. I gave you my 3 affirmative
It's the core of my pillar. I have 3.
claims and invited you to
Yeah, I
challenge
know,
each
but you
one.
also gave me a definition, didn't you?
Right, and then I condensed that definition into 3 affirmative claims for the
Yeah,
purposes of this debate.
But I'm saying that well, hang on, the 3 affirmative claims don't have anything to do with fascism. They have to do with authoritarianism.
Nope.
Okay, let's start with claim 1.
Sure. Do you want me to read all 3, or do you want to just
Read
all
all
one?
3.
Okay. The first claim is Trump is an authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Sure, I can see the point.
2, he uses his position of power to vilify, intimidate, and oppress his opposition and those he designates as member of outgroups.
I see the point.
3, he builds, fuels, and justifies this movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism.
I see that point too.
Cool. Thanks for having us, James.
Guys, thanks for watching. It was a fun debate with Andrew, but I really appreciate that he was a good sport in the end. I wish we could have more productive dialogue. Holy fuck, this freeze frame is just not a good look. It doesn't matter where you pause. It doesn't matter at all where you pause. It's James looking mildly uncomfortable and confused and concerned. It's me either smiling or being genuinely confused, and then it's Andrew just fully crashing out. This facial expression is not necessary for the conversation taking place right now. It's not that serious, bro.
That's not me ceding to fascism.
Well, you're ceding that by my definition, Trump is a fascist.
No, because your definition has a key word here, which is not in any of those 3 pillars. Ultra nationalist.
Political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Sure, I can see the point.
2, he uses his position
I want everyone here to hear the 3rd pillar again, because maybe I'm crazy.
of power to vilify, intimidate, and oppress his opposition and those he designates as member of outgroups.
I see the point.
3,
How did anyone watch this? I saw people saying like, this is like hell to watch. I can't finish this. I don't blame you. I don't know that we're going to finish. We're only 40 minutes in. Holy fuck.
builds,
Time really goes by when you're in it. When you're watching it, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck?
fuels, and justifies this movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism.
Can everyone confirm the last word I just said in that 3rd pillar? Please. Can everyone confirm it?
This movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism.
I see that point too.
I said the word ultranationalism. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Cool. Thanks for having us, James.
That's not me ceding to fascism.
Well, you're ceding that by my definition, Trump is a fascist.
No, because your definition has a key word here, which is not in any of those 3 pillars. Ultra nationalist.
He says it with so much conviction. I just said that, you dumb fuck. It's the audacity. He really says it with this guttural, like, you're missing ultra-national. I just said it, bro. Calm down. What the fuck was in that banana you were nibbling on earlier?
Just said that was
And
the end of the 3rd pillar.
here's the
Is this level of rage justified, by the way, if anything, the feedback I've been getting is you're being too nice. Yet this man is triggered as fuck. Imagine if I wasn't nice.
problem.
Was it the
No,
end of
no,
the
you
pillar?
said he appeals. You're saying he appeals to some like rhetorical ultranationalism or something.
Yeah, like propaganda techniques are going to be a big part of fascism. Yes. Any totalitarian authoritarian state, the way you delineate what type of authoritarianism it is, a big part of that is the propaganda. Because the inner workings of authoritarian governments can often be very similar, right? Centralized power, delegitimize institutions, whatever. But the veneer they put on that to the public can be anything. It can be far right, it can be far left, it can be anything, right? So you're just talking about rhetorical ultranationalism. Yeah, rhetoric is like pretty fucking, what's his name? Jason Stanley is a philosophy of language guy.
That's not ultranationalism.
To you, it's not.
No, it's just not.
Okay, cool.
It's just objective.
Someone named Dean Hater in the requests. You missed Dean. He was just here, I think, a few minutes ago. But yeah, you're not getting up. We're not doing debates today.
Not ultranationalism. Even if I concede all three of these points, it doesn't demonstrate Trump's a fascist.
Why not?
Because the metrics for ultranationalism are not in place. None of it.
Because you're using a different definition of ultranationalism.
No,
than
because I'm using
with
the
my
definition of ultranationalism.
What do you say?
So is there like a consensus
From the
of what
fascist,
ultranationalism means?
yes, there's a consensus of ultranationalism versus nationalism.
Who's
That's
the
one thing.
consensus between?
Well, in this case,
You and
we would be
yourself?
we're looking at the architects of
I forgot I said that. Okay. I had my little chirps in there.
With
the
my
definition of ultranationalism.
So is there like a consensus
From
of
the
what
fascist,
ultranationalism
yes,
means?
yes, there's a consensus of ultranationalism versus nationalism.
Who's
That's
the
one thing.
consensus between?
Well, in this case,
You and
we would be
yourself?
we're looking at the architects of fascism and what they considered it to be,
And I
which is
already
Giovanni
explained to you
Gentile.
why appealing to the architects of this ideology, who are always going to dress up their methods with ideological flourish, is not really relevant in the descriptive
It's the
analysis
most
of whether or not
relevant.
someone is a fascist.
It's the most relevant is whether or not they follow the actual ideology. What you're trying to do is name the trait, some vegan name the trait argument for fascists.
I don't know
It's
where
like, no,
veganism came from. You're the one who brought up bananas earlier.
Fascism is but that wasn't to demonstrate anything vegan related.
I know,
So anyway,
The fact that very obvious joke, he's like, no, I didn't mean anything about veganism. Bro, I'm obviously joking. He takes the bait on everything. It won't. I wasn't even trying to bait him half the time, and he just lunges, and it's like, bro, what are you doing right now? You're doing too much.
actual ideology.
You're doing too much and not enough at the same time.
What you're trying to do is name the trait, some vegan name the trait argument for fascists.
What is a vegan name the trait argument? What is that? I genuinely don't know what that is. This is not what I'm doing.
Like, no,
Veganism came from. You're the one who brought up bananas earlier.
Fascism is but that wasn't to demonstrate.
Yes, Dan. He's appealing to Giovanni Gentile and his words strictly as defining fascism. And the funny part is, I'm referencing scholars of fascism who have read all those same primary sources. The difference between myself and Andrew is I'm not so full of myself that I'm going to say, fuck the scholars who have spent decades reading primary sources and contextualizing them. I'm going to look at the primary source and definitively solve this question of what is fascism. It is sped up to 1.5. I cannot subject myself to doing this again at 1x speed. Because bear in mind, when I did this, there was no option to do 2x speed. And man, I really wish there was at sometimes, because he really loves just repeating himself.
Anything vegan related.
I know
So
what
anyway,
you're
the point is here is that fascism.
So yes, Andrew agreed before that. First of all, Andrew was pitched to me as a backup because my debate with Rob Knorr fell through like 3 times for scheduling stuff. At first, I'm like, can we just debate the same topic I was going to debate Rob on, which is, was Trump the better option than Kamala? He's like, Andrew doesn't like topics like that. I was like, okay, how about, is Trump uniquely corrupt? Or I guess like the most corrupt politician alive or something in America? And he comes back like, Andrew doesn't really like that. He wants to do, is Trump a fascist? And I was like, I've called Trump a fascist. I think he is a fascist, but I actually don't use that word very often. I've had people ask me, like, why don't you call Trump a fascist more often? And I always say, because I think he is a fascist, but that word sometimes is like lost so much meaning that I'd rather just say far right authoritarian. It's like a lot more intuitive. I went back and counted. Since March of 2024, when I started blowing up on TikTok till now, I've called Trump a fascist like 10 times or less. And I've called him an authoritarian thousands of times, like maybe tens of thousands of times. And it's not because I don't think he's a fascist. It's that language has to be useful. If I'm using a word and everyone else has a different fucking definition of the word, at a certain point, the juice isn't worth the squeeze anymore. I might as well just say far right authoritarian, right?
Themselves told us what.
And still, here's the thing, right? So I get pitched, is Trump a fascist? I tell the moderator, what do I tell the moderator? I'd rather argue the authoritarianism question, since that's how I characterize Trump 99% of the time on my platform. Fascist is a word I seldom use for him. And I heard back, he apparently knows you called Trump a fascist and wants to debate you on that instead of authoritarianism. So now I'm like, what is going on here? Because I have called Trump a fascist. I think he is one, but this man's like deep diving my content. He's like scrolling through my VODs and maybe doing Control F on the transcript. And he's like finding these moments. He doesn't want to debate me on the word I always use. Because remember, the whole reason they want to debate these topics is like, it is so irresponsible of you to just throw around the word fascist so casually. And it's like, first of all, no, Trump is a fascist. But second of all, I don't even use the word that often. So like the whole premise under which this debate started is like so silly. And I'm sure all his viewers think, this Adam guy, he probably calls Trump a fascist 10 times a day, every day. And it's like, no, bro, your idol like fucking dug through my content and went to like something 5 months ago probably, or even before that, to find semantic ground he could win on, which just shows me he was scared to debate me on authoritarianism. So then even there, and Dan, I asked him a similar question. Great point. Even there, I give my definition of fascism, and I reference Jason Stanley and all these people, and then here's what I'm told, okay, is that Andrew accepts that that's my definition. Which, as long as he's critiquing my use of the word fascist in accordance with what I mean when I say fascist, let's do it. Fair. But of course, he doesn't accept that this is my definition. And I should have pointed that out here. It just slipped my mind. But this is not accepting my definition of fascism. Not himself, right? He said, I accept that is Adam's definition. No, you don't.
But that wasn't to demonstrate anything vegan related. So anyway, the point is here is that fascists themselves told us what they consider ultranationalism to be. Within the states,
cult members tell us what their cult is all
about.
Yes,
cult members have told us what good behavior is. What the fuck is this logic, bro? And I referenced, bro, you know what I feel like? And this is on me. I steelman everyone. I expect the best from everyone, and no one ever lives up to it. It's except Hayden. Hayden, substantively, I don't think did, but like he was a good faith interlocutor, which I love good faith debates, bro. They don't exist anymore. Earnest people who actually mean what they say and aren't fucking liars. And they'll make little concessions here and there. If I just switch right now to my debate with Hayden, the tone shift is gonna be impossible to miss.
So you don't need government to step in here.
So this gets back to my point about positive externalities here. There may be some extent to which private insurers can value preventative care. I'm sure many do currently and allow you to get one checkup a year, whatever it may be. But when we're talking about positive externalities, there's going to be some economic benefit which markets cannot capture, and there's going to be a dead weight loss there unless you're able to intervene and somehow change that. And I think like it's very hard to argue that there's not a positive externality to provision of healthcare.
But even
if I said something like that to Andrew, it's very hard to argue. But you can argue it though, right? It would be hard, but you could. It's like, bro, you're not having a conversation with me. You're talking to yourself.
if what you just said was true, and let's say that I'm wrong about private markets stepping in, all you could really argue for would be a subsidy.
Single pay. This is amazing. I have a libertarian here. I think he's like a very small government guy saying that I don't grant the full extent of your logic, but maybe it justifies a subsidy. Getting a libertarian to say that justifies a subsidy, I have to clap. And I respect this a million times more after debating Andrew. Like, big shout out to Hayden. Such a pleasant guy, such a nice guy, and actually believes what he says. Actually just believes what he says. And hold on, I have to glaze Hayden real quick, because it's the thing about debating Andrew is he puts everyone else into perspective. He puts Matt Nuclear into perspective. Everyone else now is like relatively better in my eyes, because the floor that I thought existed is so much lower, and now relative to that new floor, everyone is doing better than I thought they were before, because I just didn't know this was possible. But there's a point here, which is crazy. Hold on. Okay.
But it's pretty.
The individual or the corporation, which is just individuals at the end of the day, they get the money from the corporation in the form of dividends, returns to shareholders, etc. Okay,
Yeah.
They could save that money. That money gets lent out by a bank.
Who is worse faith between Andrew Wilson and Jordan B. Peterson? Definitely Andrew Wilson. I think Jordan Peterson has moments of good faith here and there, but then his ego gets involved and he starts turning red and saying, "Oh, bloody damn it, no!" And he like starts freaking out. But I don't know how much of that is because I know he's had like health issues and stuff. I don't mean to make jokes about that, but there exists footage of Jordan Peterson saying things in good faith and even making good points before he lost his fucking mind in 2016. So in the last 5 years, it's shaky. Some points with Alex O'Connor, I think he was good faith. But even there, Alex was fucking not struggling, but like he was putting in the work to not offend Peterson, but push him. Which is kind of the thing he had to do is like Peterson, I think, stops being good faith when he feels like attacked. And Alex was like kind of babying him a little bit to get him to engage ideologically without freaking out. But watch this.
For capital accumulation, that also helps us be more productive.
Sure, but then I'd want to compare, like, how does that affect GDP when that money is lent out privately versus when that money is going to be spent on something else? Like, what is because multipliers can exist for private actors as well. Like, what is the multiplier of a corporation or a person? And like, again, I don't want to keep going back to these numbers, but it's pretty clear that when you have like large scale structural spending, it is almost definitionally going to have a higher multiplier than like individual firms or individual people. Now, with that being said, there's a balancing act there. There's going to be some level of taxation where like, okay, too much, lower it. But that is, again, more of a quantitative data driven question than like, in principle, is it just wrong to do this?
That's a good point. I think if you were to...
I can't believe what I just heard and what I saw. Data driven question than like, is this so hard to do? If someone shows me they're willing to do this, I will do the same to them. I don't want to do a fucking dogmatic, like, I don't want to be the avatar of the left and just stubbornly argue for the sake of arguing. That's stupid. Suppose it's just wrong to do this.
That's a good point. I think if you were to show me like examples where, okay, I think here's what I would say. If you got like an example where what term did you use? I want to make sure I use your term. The economic multiplier for spending on infrastructure for the federal government is like 5 or 6x, and the alternative in a private savings account would typically say be like 2x or 3x or whatever, so it's less, right? I think there you could make an argument that it would make sense to have government pursue that program, raise the taxation for it. Now,
this is crazy. This is a libertarian guy saying, oh, if you had a proper example of like a public program, I could be in favor of raising taxes to fund the program. This is a libertarian. And I respect the fuck out of this. He's being honest. He's hearing information, which I don't know if he knew before this, that I have an economics degree. I don't think he knew. But he's hearing information he's not familiar with and actually internalizing it and like digesting it and trying to understand what I mean. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Manner in which they raise the taxation for.
And then he goes on and hold on. Year paying a $3,500 tax. Those are going to have ramifications for the economy overall, and I think overall reduce the like welfare and the utility of the economy.
Yeah, but I don't. So I'm going to contradict myself here, but I'll live with it. I don't necessarily think that we should start with the economy as a whole, which I think that contradicts the statement I made earlier about
this is warming my heart.
But I don't. So I'm going to contradict myself here, but I'll live with it.
And I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, stupid fucking libertarian. I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. Because he's actually thinking out loud. He's actually engaging in a battle of ideas, the meme. He doesn't know what a multiplier, but here's the thing. It's not like he doesn't know it because he's like malicious. Like, I don't expect most people to know what a fucking economic multiplier is. And I myself was once the guy who was like, the free market solves all when I was like 14, 15 years old. So like, people who are wrong earnestly, I really have no desire to humiliate those types of people. People who are like earnest and they really believe they're doing everything right, but they just are surrounded by bad people or surrounded by bad information. I really try to go out of my way not to like humiliate those people because they're winnable. We all go through a free market phase. Yeah. It's a dark time. What's that Ben Shapiro clip? How is climate change so bad? If your house on the coast goes underwater, just sell your house and move.
Fascists themselves told us what they considered ultranationalism to be. Within the states,
cult members tell us what their cult is all about.
Their ideology.
Yeah, of the cult, but then they're going to conveniently ignore that ideology for purposes of power.
So you're saying that you're going to tell Christians what they believe more than Christians are going to tell you what they believe?
I'm not here to talk about
crazy that I said cult and he jumps straight to Christianity. I wonder if that's like a Freudian slip.
Religion, so no, I'm not telling Christians anything.
Well, do you consider Christianity an ideology?
It's a religion. I mean, I guess it's an ideology, sure.
Yeah, so the thing is like, why would you yield to them on their ideology then and what they believe?
Because religions, especially organized religions, are by definition going to be formalized doctrines that you have to adhere to.
With dogmas, right?
Yeah, sure.
And don't you consider
we're talking about socio-political phenomena.
Don't you consider these social political advocates of this particular ideology to have written dogma?
No, the whole point of religion is belief. The point of political phenomenon and political movements is the attainment of power. And what differs is why do they want to attain power, what justifications they use to attain power, and what do they do with that power. Even as a progressive, my political project is to attain power. but it's to attain power by appealing to people's better sensibilities and then using that power to make society better by building better infrastructure and better education and better access to healthcare. It's like a very simple, straightforward concept.
Pertaining to the very ideology that they then instituted in their nation. In Gentili's case and Fascist Italy's case, they brought on 22 sectors of new corporatism.
Yeah.
They had dogma that they actually acted on. It wasn't in a vacuum. They acted on the dogma,
Let me ask you a question about
instituted
that.
the dogma.
Would they deviate from that ideological dogma if it meant expanding or consolidating their power, or would they?
I don't even remember what he said to this. I was just about to say I should ask him this question. I'm glad I asked him this question.
Let me ask you a question about
Instituted the
that.
dogma.
Would they deviate from that ideological dogma if it meant expanding or consolidating their power, or would they say, no, I have to stick to the dogma? Like
This is my point, right? Fascists can tell us all it's all about my ideology and these principles. But if they have to pick between the ideology and the principles and achieving more power or punishing more people or entrenching their power more, they're going to pick the ideology? If not, then maybe that's not what fascism is.
Would they deviate from that ideological dogma if it meant expanding or consolidating their power, or would they say, no, I have to stick to the dogma, like the fascist leaders in those situations?
Well, I think in Italy, they would not have deviated. In Franco Spain, they may have deviated.
Did Mussolini ever deviate from his stated fascist ideological dogma? And this is AI, so I guess take it with a grain of salt. Frequently deviated. He was more of a pragmatist, seeking to maintain and strengthen his personal power. Yeah, how so? Initially, early fascism had anti-clerical elements. However, to solidify power and gain control, Mussolini adopted pro-Catholic policies. Yeah. And didn't Andrew say... Fuck, I should have... I mean, I couldn't have known he was going to say this beforehand, honestly. But maybe I could have. Maybe I should have read about this more. I don't know. But like, he earlier said that ultranationalism means that the state comes before religion. But here we have Mussolini putting on the back burner his anti-religious sentiment to cozy up to Christians. Does that make him not a fascist anymore? So here's the thing. It's like he just lies. Everything. You can't take any... At this point, Andrew could come and tell me, your name is Adam Khan, and I would need to sit and think about it a little bit, because I feel like it's just bad practice to take anything he says at face value.
Leaders in those situations.
Well, I think in Italy, they would not have deviated. In Franco Spain, they may have deviated.
Sure. All I'm trying to get at here is that what...
I should have been more of a dick. Whoever said that, yeah, that's... And here's the thing. I should be more familiar with the historical fascists. Here's the thing, okay? And hold on. Let me temporarily do this. Because I read... You are right, but I also do want to say... One second. How do I... Okay, I don't know why it's not letting me change this. Long story short, I got this from like a very long essay by Robert Paxton, where he talks in depth about the mechanics of why we shouldn't take fascists at their word. And the mechanics were intuitive enough that I didn't think... I guess I should have probably gotten examples, which he does reference examples in the essay. I should have written them down, I guess. But he basically says, like, even if you don't have examples... If fascism was purely ideological, then they would constantly be making sacrifices in terms of political power in pursuit of ideology, right? But they don't. They always pursue the power. Now, you are right. I probably should have had at least one. Like, if I had the Mussolini example, this would have been... I don't know what he would have done. Mussolini wasn't a fascist, actually. And I kept doing this to him. He was like, why should I do this? Why should I believe you? And I was like, bro, you don't have to believe me. Just shut the fuck. Like, let me finish talking. You don't have to do anything. Okay. Let's go. Is the video frozen? My bad. My bad. It is frozen. Sorry. Now, how do I... Will this make it work? If I switch back? There we go. He says, who cares, after being the one to say Stanley's a hack. He does this thing where he makes a claim, and if you actually push him on the claim, and he knows he's bullshitting, he immediately abandons it. Who gives a fuck? Sure, I'll concede for the sake of argument.
What was his name? The other one, he used to be a big, I can't think of his name. Culture Thug. He ran a third positionist thing for a long time that gained a lot of steam. There's lots of third positionists actually who we can appeal to tell us what the third position is, right? And what it is that the foundational philosophy is, this and that. All what you're trying to do is use morally ambiguous language in order to call your opposition that thing. But you're not actually creating.
Claim.
But you're not creating. Yeah. Well, wait. Prescriptive or descriptive?
I'm saying the claim I'm making is descriptive that Donald Trump is a fascist. You can say he is, but fascism is good.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to make the descriptive claim that fascism is both historic. It's a historic movement. And historic movements deserve historic definitions, and they just deserve to have their historicity brought into play when it comes to you defining them in a modern sense so that you can understand what this ideology actually is, and that you are completely bereft of that in your definition or even in explaining yourself here.
I don't want you to pivot from the Jason Stanley thing. Like, why do you think that he is like not
it's irrelevant and tangential.
No, it's relevant because you are the one who impugned his credibility.
Okay, now he's great. I'll just say he's great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, anything else?
No, it's because he doesn't actually know why he called Jason Stanley a hack. He just said it, and I actually pushed him like, why is he a hack? He doesn't know. He has no clue.
Been explaining yourself here.
I don't want you to pivot from the Jason Stanley thing. Like, why do you think that he is like not
it's irrelevant and tangential.
No, it's relevant because you are the one
yeah,
who
the second one was
okay, now he's great. I'll just say he's great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, great. So anyway, it's tangential, it's irrelevant. That was the pivot. So back to this.
Okay, that's kind of slimy.
When we're talking about historic, when we're talking about his, well, you're the one who made the pivot. When we're talking about historic movements, they have historic definitions.
Stuff like that is where, like, instead of going off on him, I'd rather just kind of give him a knowing look and be like, you're being slimy. Because I feel like most of the audience is like, okay, yeah, he is. And I just kind of break the fourth wall and move on. Because the worst thing you can do with this guy is fucking get caught up in whatever the fuck he's trying to spin up.
Okay, now he's great. I'll just say he's great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, great. So anyway, it's tangential, it's irrelevant. That was the pivot. So back to this.
Okay, that's kind of slimy.
When we're talking about historic, when we're talking about his, well, you're the one who made the pivot. When we're talking about historic movements, they have historic definitions. Feminism does. Christianity has historic definitions. Communism has historical definitions. All of these things have historic definitions which are laid in to what they actually are. For some reason, you want us to believe we should just ignore that for fascism.
I don't want anyone to believe anything. I'm defending my position. If you think I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. If you want to be pedantic about what ultranationalism means and ignore every single point I make, that's your right to do. I am curious, when you conceded to my three affirmative claims, was that like a sarcastic, like, okay, liberal, whatever you say?
No, I'm pointing out that even if I cede all these claims...
But do you cede them?
It wouldn't demonstrate that. Well, let's go through them one at a time.
Sure. You want to start number one? Trump is an authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Yeah, I'll cede that claim.
You actually fully agree with me on that?
No, I didn't say I fully agree with you. I just said I'll cede the claim. Whether I agree with you or not is tangential to the debate.
Well, I'm curious. Do you agree with me?
I don't care what you're curious about. It's tangential to the debate.
This is... You know why he's doing this, right? Because the things he would normally say on this claim to disagree with me, I already addressed them in my opening statement. That's why. I'm going to have to rewind to make this clear. Hold on.
And consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Yeah, I'll cede that claim.
You actually fully agree with me on that?
No, I didn't say I fully agree with you.
So I'm saying Trump's an authoritarian. He's ceding that claim, right? This is 4804, right? Okay.
Total allegiance to the United States of America, and through our loyalty to our country, we will rediscover our loyalty to each other. Maybe Andrew will tell us not to believe our lying ears and eyes, or that Trump just says a lot of shit. Maybe he'll reference Article 2 to excuse virtually anything done with presidential powers.
Something he does all the time in these debates about Trump being an authoritarian. And it says, well, it doesn't matter that Trump sent in the National Guard illegally. Article 2 says commander-in-chief. Checkmate, liberal. He was the chief and he commanded them. Hell yeah. That's his argument.
Or downplay all the cases of lies, rights violations, and non-compliance as good faith mistakes or novel legal theories. But after watching a man get executed and hearing
I'm almost 1,000,000% sure he was going to jump to that. I shouldn't have shown my hand so early. I shouldn't have. He would have walked into it. That's the thing. You can't reveal your power level too early with Andrew as well.
With you or not is tangential to the debate.
Well, I'm curious, do you agree with me?
I don't care what you're curious about is tangential to the debate.
Well, it seems pretty relevant.
I've never seen Andrew, maybe Andrew's done this before. I've never seen him do this. He always engages on this point.
Whether I agree with you or not is tangential to the debate.
Well, I'm curious, do you
Because, hold on, he actually agreed to go through it substantively, right?
For some reason you want us to believe we should just ignore that for fascism.
I don't want anyone to believe anything. I'm defending my position. If you think I'm wrong, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. If you want to be pedantic about what ultranationalism means and ignore every single point I make, that's your right to do. I am curious, when you conceded to my 3 affirmative claims, was that like a sarcastic, like, okay, liberal, whatever you say?
No, I'm pointing out that even if I cede all these claims,
but do you cede them?
It wouldn't demonstrate that. Well, let's go through them one at a time.
So I'm saying, do you actually cede them? Like, not just for the sake of argument, do you cede those claims? And he says, let's go through them, which I feel like implies we're now actually going to debate whether each claim is accurate, right? So if my first claim is Trump is an authoritarian, he could actually say he's not an authoritarian. So even if I accept your definition, Adam, he's not an authoritarian. I've never seen him do this. This is disgustingly bad. I don't hate the YouTube chat, Liu Kang. I don't. It's just there's so many more people on TikTok that it's easy for YouTube chat to get buried. But I'm looking at YouTube chat, okay? You guys are the most peaceful and the most patriotic of all.
You want to start number 1? Trump is an authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith. Yeah.
Bro, maybe I'm overreact. Is he like reading chat or something? Maybe he's just looking at his notes.
An authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Yeah, I'll see that claim.
You actually fully agree with me on that?
No, I didn't say I fully agree with you. I just said I'll see the claim. Whether I agree with you or not is tangential to the debate.
Well,
This blew my mind. In the moment, this actually blew my mind. I was like, there's no way that he's that scared. And there's no way he's that much of a one-trick pony that all I had to do in my opener was say, maybe Andrew will appeal to Article 2 and novel legal theories. And he's like, fuck, there goes my entire Trump's not an authoritarian argument. So now I just can't engage that on the substance at all.
Curious, do you agree with me?
I don't care what you're curious about is tangential to the debate.
Well, it seems pretty relevant.
I don't care what you're. No, it's not relevant. If I agree or don't agree, what's relevant?
My affirmative claim as to why Trump is a fascist is not relevant to the debate.
No, wait.
Okay.
That claim is relevant to the debate. Whether I agree with that claim is not.
And you don't want to share with anyone whether or not you agree with that claim.
Why would that have anything to do with this debate?
Because then we could discuss substantively what Trump has
you
done.
want to get into policies. Next time, ask for
I want to get into
debate.
Trump because if you read the description of the debate, it's Trump a fascist, not what is fascism.
And here's the thing. I'm ceding every one of these points hypothetically and still demonstrating he's not.
Okay, so you think that even if we use the claim number 1, Trump is an authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize.
This is why I say, like, moments like this, are you happy you did it? How do you feel about your performance? I took his soul here. He had nothing. He had nothing to do. He had to sit there and say, please, no, I do not want to discuss this. Whatever you say, yes, we'll move on. I'll cede it. I'll concede it. It's because you can't argue it. But you're too scared to say you can't argue it. You're too scared to prove you can't argue it. So you try to do this thing where you're like, technically, I didn't lose because I only conceded for the sake of argument.
Consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith.
Yeah, that's not fascistic.
In conjunction with my other 2 claims, it's not fascistic?
We'll start with claim 1. That's not fascistic. So claim 2.
You have to be all 3 together.
Okay, go to claim 2.
This is like pointing at a brick and
And
saying...
he knows this. This is so weird. That one part of your definition alone is not fascist. Yeah, I didn't say it was.
2 claims is not fascistic?
We'll start with claim 1. That's not fascistic. So claim 2.
You have to be all 3 together.
Okay, go to claim 2.
This is like pointing at a brick and saying, it's not a house liberal. You said a house has bricks.
Okay, I'm going to go through them one at a time and tell you if they're fascistic or not, and then we'll take
That metaphor I did have in my mind before because I knew he was going to do that. Where he acts like one part of my definition is the whole definition.
totality of them. Go ahead.
Okay. Trump is an authoritarian whose political project seeks to centralize and consolidate power by engaging with our laws in bad faith. He uses this position of power to vilify, intimidate, and oppress his opposition and those he designates as members of outgroups, and he builds, fuels, and justifies this movement with allusions to a once glorious, now desecrated past, which can only be reattained through ultranationalism.
Well, wait a second. Can only be attained with ultranationalism.
Oh, he's looking, he's grasping at straws. Only. So if I came up with another way to do it.
Which can only be reattained through ultranationalism.
Well, wait a second.
Because I'm talking about a framing technique, right? Which is that the fascist leader tells you the only way to reclaim our country and reclaim our glory and kick out all these dirty people and whatever is ultranationalism and submission to this ideology or this propaganda technique or this vilification strategy, whatever it may be. And he's just, I don't even know what
Can
he's
only
doing.
be attained with ultranationalism.
Reattained, yeah.
Reattained. Okay. So Trump is saying that he wants everybody to be the body of the state.
No, he's saying that we have to put America first to re-achieve American glory.
That just sounds like nationalism to me.
Okay, it sounds like ultranationalism when you look at the actual extent to which he employs this propaganda technique, and when
What?
you combine it, when you combine it with the fact that it's not in a vacuum, this rhetoric is used to justify authoritarianism.
Well,
if he was just saying it and then doing
even if the
tariffs legally,
rhetoric is
different question.
Hang on. Even if the rhetoric is used to justify authoritarianism, that still's not fascism.
According to you, I guess.
No, I mean according to all of the according to all of the history around
how long
what
do you want to do
fascism
this?
is, and not only that, according to your own don't be a snarky little fuck. You took the debate. Suffer. So back to this.
I am.
Yeah, back to this.
It's more funny than
The thing
suffering. I
is-
just like
the thing is,
talk
it's
about
like
Trump at all.
Here, I know I got under his skin here. I could feel it. James was laughing too. Because he wants to get you angry. He doesn't want you to have a fun time. He wants you to fucking enjoy yourself. As soon as bro told me in his opening statement that Jason Stanley and Robert Paxton do not consider Donald Trump a fascist, I was like, okay, let's just have fun with this. Because what the fuck is he talking about? There's no point in taking this too seriously. Just trigger him, break the fourth wall, and have fun.
Well,
If he was just saying it and then doing
even if the
tariffs
rhetoric
legally,
is
different question.
Hang on. Even if the rhetoric is used to justify authoritarianism, that still's not fascism.
According to you, I guess.
No, I mean according to all
Because when he calls me a snarky fuck, he wants to be like, I'm not a snarky fuck, you're a snarky fuck.
the
He's
historic.
like, suffer. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm suffering. Everyone right now is suffering that's watching this. Because what the fuck are you doing?
according to all of the history around
how long
what
do you wanna do
fascism
this?
is, and not only that, according to your own don't be a snarky little fuck. You took the debate. Suffer. So back to this.
I am.
Yeah, back to this.
It's more funny than
The thing
suffering. I
is-
just like
the thing
talk
is, it's
about
like
Trump at all.
we are talking about if Trump's a fascist.
No, but
What's the
things that Trump
debate?
has done. Not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
again,
I'm here to talk about if Trump's a fascist.
I want to clarify with James. The debate prompt is not what is fascism. Is Trump a fascist?
Yeah, that's right. So we're talking
You're about to see this man short circuit. I remember this part. This part I remember.
about if Trump's a fascist. Anything else?
Yeah.
Just to be short, do I understand right? So if we were using Andrew's definition, in that case, Andrew, you would say, no, Trump's not a fascist.
Yeah,
Adam,
by
you
Andrew's
would-
definition, I would also say Trump's not a fascist. I wouldn't use his definition.
okay.
Right.
And then
You're just going to use a made-up, non-historical definition.
one that I
for your
think is
bullshit.
using Adam's definition, where would you guys both land?
I would still say he's not a fascist because of the ultranationalism. This is the
No. This is crazy. Trump wouldn't be a fascist, according to Adam's definition, if I interpret it in my own way and then don't ask him what he meant by his definition. That's what he's doing. Because he's saying, he doesn't meet the ultranationalism part, though. Yeah, Andrew, but I told you what I meant by ultranationalism. So given that premise of what I meant by it, is Trump a fascist? He knows the answer is yes. He knows it's yes. Here he says, no, it's not because of my... Just understand what just happened. Andrew, according to Adam's definition, is Trump a fascist? No, he's not, because of my definition.
Fascist.
Yeah,
Adam,
by Andrew's definition, I would also say Trump's not a fascist. I wouldn't use his definition.
okay.
right.
And then
You're just going to use a made-up, non-historical definition.
one that I
for your
think is
bullshit.
using Adam's definition, where would you guys both land?
I would still say he's not a fascist because of the ultranationalism. This is the
No,
this is the critique.
No. You're not actually using my definition when you say that. You're projecting your own definition of this, like this.
Here, I felt like I had him cornered. I remember this. This I remember so vividly. And this exchanges like this were so cathartic. It's like, inject this into my veins. He has nothing to do. He has nowhere to go. Just watch this ensuing exchange. It's fucking hilarious.
Nationalism. This is the critique.
No. You're not actually using my definition when you say that. You're projecting your own definition of this, like the subparts of the overall definition into my definition. So you keep saying my definition doesn't work because ultranationalism, but in my definition, I've explained what ultranationalism actually means, which is a rhetorical strategy.
Yeah, but it doesn't
used
mean
to
that.
justify power grabs.
That's not
But it doesn't mean that. Yeah, but we're talking about my definition, Andrew.
what
So
ultranationalism is.
if you were to accept that ultranationalism in this context is a justification or a premise used for power grabs, then would Trump be a fascist?
Ultranationalism is not defined by rhetoric.
He was cooked here. He was so cooked here. He knew he was cooked. He was dying inside. I took his soul. Here. It was so satisfying in the moment, but it was also disappointing because I was like, you know what this felt like? And it's because I treat every debate like I'm about to debate the best person to ever debate in the history of the world and just research everything, which maybe sometimes I don't need to go that far. Is like, you know what I feel like? I feel like I tried to, what's like an analogy here? Okay, kind of a crude analogy, but like imagine you did like a boxing training camp and you're training like you're about to fight Terrence fucking Crawford. And let's say you're a professional boxer on that level, okay? And you're like, I'm training for every fucking counter shot and footwork and everything, and you walk into that ring like everything in his toolbox, I am ready for it. And then Terrence Crawford shows up with like handcuffs on. His like arms are tied behind his back. He cut his arms off or something. And it's like, now box. What? What's going on? I did all that for what? I did all that research for what? For this? For fucking Banana Man to tell me that I'm a snarky fuck?
Or a premise used for power grabs, then would Trump be a fascist?
Ultranationalism is not defined by rhetoric. It's defined by action.
Okay.
Action. And by the way, Gentile points this out, where his whole philosophy was called pure act. Pure act was his entire philosophy and fascist philosophy.
Remember, this is coming from James asking him, by Adam's definition, is he a fascist? And he's immediately pivoted to his own definition.
Pure act. It's an action, not a rhetoric. It's not a rhetoric.
Okay,
That's
I just want to
made
ask
up
the
bullshit.
question. I just want to ask the question again. If you were to accept the way I am,
This felt so good because he kept trying to slip out and kind of make me follow him down some other path. And I was like, no. Come back here, motherfucker. Explain yourself here. Because it's so...
Rick. It's not a rhetoric.
Okay, I
That's
just want to
made
ask
up
the
bullshit.
question. I just want to ask the question again. If you were to accept the way I am using the word ultranationalist,
I don't
in this
accept it.
If you were to, it's called a hypothetical.
He says, I don't accept it. James just asked him if you accepted his definition. He said, even if I accepted Adam's definition, Trump's not a fascist. Now he doesn't fucking accept it. Why is he always smoking whenever I see him? I don't know. It's clearly doing something to his health. Because bro's like not right. Like he was so sensitive and so unnecessarily combative about stuff that did not need to be an argument. And by the way, what's up, Jaden?
Trump then be a fascist?
I can't. Listen, hypotheticals have to map on to logic, right?
No, I'm just asking if you were to accept the premise, then would it follow that Trump's
So
a fascist?
if it was the case that
Like, by the way, the answer here for Andrew is like, Adam, even if I accepted your definition as you intend it, I don't think that Trump's actual behavior lines up with that definition. Because Trump is not an authoritarian. He is just using unitary executive theory. Trump is not vilifying people on purpose. He's just going after people who he believes are truly enemies of the state. But he's not going to do that because he can't do that because I called him out for it in my opening. And now he's like, where do I go? What do I say?
I decided to accept the premise is Trump, that you say Trump is a fascist, would that make him one? Yes.
Oh, awesome.
So if you claim
This I fully did to trigger. Because already he's saying something disanalogous where he's saying, okay, liberal, if I accept your premise that Trump's a fascist, yeah, he's a fascist. I'm not asking him to accept the premise that Trump's a fascist. I'm asking him to accept for the sake of argument, which he loves conceding stuff for the sake of argument all the time, except now for some reason. If he accepts for the sake of argument my definition, does Trump map onto that definition? But that becomes then a conversation about Trump's actions, which he knows he's cooked. He knows he didn't prep for that. He knows I know what he's going to say. So now, the usual phase 2 that if you watch Andrew Wilson debates, he can't jump into his phase 2 of plausible deniability cover for Trump. He just can't even go to that. Obviously not what I'm saying, but at this point I knew, oh, he's saying anything and everything. So let me Bro, it's like what is Andrew cooking right now? What is going on? What's happening here? I feel it. This must have been James is awesome though. Very nice guy, by the way. Screen frozen? What the? How long has that been the case? Fuck. It's so annoying, bro. Hold on. 10 seconds? Okay. He's so heated. You can pause like I'm at any point here. He's losing it. He's fully... He's compensating so hard with the... Silly liberal, what are you talking about? He just resorts to saying, oh, you're so stupid, ha ha ha. Now it's muted? Okay, let me fix it on YouTube. God damn it, bro.
then it would indeed be the case that I accepted it.
No,
Good thing I
because
don't accept it.
Well, no, you could then say
What
that
are you
even if
talking about?
you could then say that even if I accepted your definition of ultranationalism in this context, your definition still would not qualify to Trump as a fascist because Trump
No,
did
no, no.
XYZ or
You
didn't
asked
do
me
XYZ.
if it's the case that you accepted this thing. Would it be the case that you accepted this thing?
No.
Yes.
Oh man,
he-
this specific part of the upcoming exchange, I'm not gonna interject at all. Everyone, let's just take in what we're about to watch, okay?
You
didn't
asked
do
me
XYZ.
if it's the case
And I'm even gonna slow it down for this part because it's too good.
that you accepted this thing. Would it be the case that you accepted this thing?
No.
Yes.
I said if it's the case that you accept my definition of one part
No,
of this thing,
accepted.
I can be even more clear. I
That's
said
not
if
what you said.
Fuck is he
I can clarify.
saying? No, I accepted. What does that even mean? What are you saying? Literally, what the fuck are you saying?
of one part
No,
of this thing,
accepted.
What?
Me,
XYZ.
if it's the case that you accepted this thing, would it be the case that you accepted this thing?
No.
Yes.
I said if it's the case that you accept my definition of one part
No,
of this thing,
accepted.
I can be even more clear. I
That's
said
not
if
what you said.
I can clarify what I said. People can also rewind. I said if you were to accept the way I am using the term ultranationalism, then yes.
Why? If yeah, bro, like what the fuck are you doing? What is that? What is he even trying to communicate with that? If
So rewind. I said if you were to accept the way I am using the term
yeah, that's the fucking question, bro. Like if you accept the premise, which is my definition, does Trump meet that?
ultranationalism,
If-
then yes.
Yes.
But
if I
what?
were to, so now we're in
If you were to
hypothetical
accept
territory.
what?
If I were to accept your framework for this.
No,
In this
no,
case,
not just framework
ultranationalism.
for this. Specifically, my definition of ultranationalism in this context. If
Yes.
you were to accept that,
If I were to,
then zooming out, would my
Uh-huh.
overall definition and my affirmative
Uh-huh.
claims of fascism apply to Trump?
I see. So
Yeah.
let me show you how stupid this is.
He knows exactly what the fuck I'm saying here. He has nothing left. He has nothing. Let me tell you why you're stupid, liberal. Let me tell you. Okay, I guess, but what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Please.
If you accepted that this lighter
Like
was
I was bewildered at certain points. I switched back and forth between amusement and bewilderment at like what he was even trying to do.
I see. So
Yeah.
let me show you how stupid this is.
Please.
If you accepted that this lighter was fascist, would this lighter be fascist?
It's not analogous to what I said at all.
Answer my question.
Yes.
If you accept, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great. Look,
Not analogous.
he just admitted the lighter's fascist.
Oh my God. No, yeah, this is not analogous.
See that was. You see how he does his voice? He's like, he just admitted the lighter's a fascist. He's like trying to do this hyperbolic voice to make me sound silly. I just mashed him like, oh yeah, oh my God. Like, I did that every time. Every single time in this debate, he started changing up his tone to make a point. I just fully mocked his tone. The next thing I responded to him would still be a substantive point, but I would mimic the exact same tone. I know he hated that shit. I know he did. I know that's why he was on Twitter afterwards saying, that guy got... Someone... I don't condone this, by the way. Someone tweeted at Andrew after the debate, calling him the R word, saying he looked R-worded in our debate, and saying that he embarrassed himself. This tweet got 4 likes. If I see a hate tweet with 4 likes, I'm moving on with my day. Andrew quote tweets it, saying, co-parter, buddy, he got destroyed, and badly. Why are you quote, like, if you really, I feel like if you feel like you win, you don't immediately go picking a fight with everyone who says you lost.
Fascist?
It's not analogous to what I said at all.
Answer my question.
Yes.
If you accept, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, great. Look,
Not
look
analogous.
he just admitted the lighter's fascist.
Oh my God. No, yeah, this is not analogous. Because
It's the same
I'm
thing you're
referring
asking
to
me.
I'm
It's the same
referring
thing
to
you're
a
asking me, bro.
I'm referring to a subcomponent of my overall definition, which you are taking issue with, and saying if you were to accept the definition of that subcomponent and then zoom out, would my overall affirmative claims then justify calling Trump a fascist?
Yeah. So what you're asking me is, if it were the case that you agreed with me, Trump was a fascist, would he
No.
be?
This is crazy. This is crazy. This is unreal what I'm watching. I've never seen Andrew Wilson do this before. In fairness, like I said, I haven't watched a full Andrew Wilson debate because I respect my time more than that. Clearly not enough to avoid debating him, which I guess this is probably a net benefit for me. People are going to see me who don't know who I am. That's ultimately what it is, but man. If you destroy someone in a debate, you have to... Yeah, bro, after this debate ended, what did I do? I finished my poke bowl from earlier, and I watched Severance with my sister. And I like put my phone away. And this man was on Twitter for like 3 hours. Maybe not 3 hours. I don't know how long he was on Twitter, but he was definitely on Twitter tweeting around. Frozen again. Okay, and the audio's frozen again. Severance is mid.
Okay, even if you say that, Trump didn't actually do this.
What do you mean?
No. So I'm
Yes.
asking. Because you could say, okay, even if you say that, Trump didn't actually do this.
The fact that I have to explain to him how an argument works. Where can we watch this debate? Modern day debate on YouTube. How many views is this at, by the way, now? Oh shit, 54,000 in like 3 days? Ultimately, that's why I took this debate. Whether or not this was productive, a lot of people are going to see this who don't know who the fuck I am. And now they do. And if they're not fucking brain rotted Andrew supporters, they'll be like, oh, at least this kid knows what the fuck he's talking about. At the very least, even if someone watches this and disagrees with me, I think it's so clear that I'm trying to be honest and that Andrew is desperately grasping at straws. This debate was set up by James, the moderator of Modern Day Debate, because I was supposed to debate Rob Noor and it kept falling through. And then James was like, I feel bad that you've been strung along and the debate hasn't been finalized. So do you want to debate Andrew? And I was like, sure, yeah.
No. So I'm asking. Because you could say, okay, even if you say that, Trump didn't actually do this authoritarian thing, or he doesn't engage in bad faith. He's trying to pursue novel legal theories. He takes legal advice from his lawyers.
I'm repeating. I know he hated this because I'm literally repeating verbatim what he argues in his debates when he normally debates this. And the fact that he wasn't even prepared for basic pushback on that is like kind of funny to me.
Trump was a fascist. What do you mean?
No. So I'm asking. Because you could say, okay, even if you say that, Trump didn't actually do this authoritarian thing, or he doesn't engage in bad faith. He's trying to pursue novel legal theories. He takes legal advice from his lawyers. You could actually dispute on that basis that even if I accept your definition, Trump does not fit this category.
No. Me saying to you, even if it was the case that I accepted what you meant by ultranationalism is true.
I don't know how to properly convey what was going through my head here. I was so mind boggled. Because this is humiliating. If I ever do some shit like this in a debate, do not let me live it down. This is so humiliating. Number one, he's terrified to take a position on is Trump an authoritarian? And that number two, he's like very clearly not understanding a simple ass point.
And therefore agreed with your position. Would I be agreeing with your position? That I accepted what you meant by ultranationalism is true. And therefore agreed with your position. Would I be agreeing with your position? Yes, of course, hypothetically, that would be the case.
I'm asking if you agree with my definition, would Trump meet it?
I don't agree with your definition that Trump meets the criteria for ultranationalism for the 15th time.
My definition doesn't say that Trump meets it. You know what this is, right? This is him implying that, yes, Trump is a fascist by my definition. He just can't say it. This is his roundabout way of admitting it. By saying that if he concedes my definition, he concedes that Trump's a fascist. Kind of legitimately conceded the debate there.
With your position, would I be agreeing with your position?
Like if he came here to prove to me, Adam, Trump is not a fascist by my definition, I'd be like, okay, bro. I don't really care. I'm talking about like what I mean when I say fascist, which is not made up. It's like, there's no consensus, but like, here's the thing. There can be multiple legitimate points of view. I think that in the study of fascism, there are interesting arguments about like where do you draw the line and like what does it mean and is it over-inclusive or under-inclusive, which is very hard to figure out in social sciences, right? Even with biology and physics, I'm sure it's hard, but like things are a lot less discrete in social sciences and the definitions are a lot harder to pin down. And what I was doing here is basically defining fascism in like a teleological way. I think I'm using that word correctly, right? Teleological as in like in relation to like the function it serves, right? So like it's not so much an ideology as like how does this phenomenon work? 200 people at 3:17 a.m. Is it 3:17 a.m.? Holy fuck. I have to be up tomorrow. How much is left of this? Oh my goodness. We're not finishing this. Teleology's purpose, yeah. Is it? Yeah. Its purpose and function, right? Like the function it serves in a broader context.
Yes, of course, hypothetically, that would be the case.
I'm asking if you agree with my definition, would Trump meet it?
I don't agree with your definition that Trump meets the criteria for ultranationalism for the 15th time. All you've done is ask me hypothetically if you did, would he? And the answer is yes,
of course. You know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're
pretending
saying.
Not to.
I don't.
This was my favorite. One of my favorite things ever, honestly. This was very satisfying for me. At this point, I was like, I don't care what happens after this in this debate. This is, I know, I see through this bullshit, and I see a man who knows he's lost, but has such a big ego that he can't admit it. And it's funny, and it's kind of sad, actually. If you really think about it, it is kind of sad. He's debating like someone in his early 20s. He's like a fully grown man, and he can't even make basic concessions. It's like, it's kind of nasty. Like, it's kind of like when you see someone who is like so established in the space, so much older than you, so confident and so aggressive, and this is how they behave under pressure. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's almost like Andrew Tate, his fight with Chase Demore, where it's like he bigs himself up to be like, I am the top G and this is me. And then in the fight, he's like breathing heavy after throwing one punch and hanging on. And he's like, oh my. And speaking of the fucking excuse video Tate did afterwards, where he's like, I don't know why my cardio wasn't good. Maybe God took my cardio away to give Chase the win. Or maybe you're fucking addicted to cigarettes and cigars and your cardio is shit and you're like 40 and you were never a good kickboxer in the first place. Maybe that. The fact that you have to justify it with like, maybe God had to smite me and that is why I lost this debate. Bro, please go to therapy or something. I don't know what was going through James's head here. Frozen again? I've said it before, I'll say it again. If someone can help me figure out why this happens, where my audio capture and screen capture randomly times out and I have to restart it and refresh it. If someone can explain to me why that is and fix it permanently, I'll pay you. Handsome sum of $20. Okay?
Would he? And the answer is yes,
like
of course.
You know what I'm saying.
I don't know what
you're
you're
pretending
saying.
not to.
I don't, because it makes no sense.
This is called, this was me trying to break the fourth wall. I'm like, okay, here is something where Andrew's being so blatantly like, I don't know what you're saying. What do you mean 1 + 1 is 2? And here I'm like, okay, do I push Andrew on this or do I kind of just like take a step back outside the context of this debate and just say like, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing, right? Like everyone can see that. And I feel like that also bothered him because he understood what I was doing. And if you refuse to accept his frame and his context, can I just have $20, Mr. Khan? I'm strapped for cash, guys. The fascists are after me, okay? I'm actually kidding. I should say this now. I have to make a video about this. I've been so busy. I've joined Chorus. I've announced it on my Discord. I announced it on AJ Okra's live the other day. I've been meaning to announce it in a video, but I've been so fucking busy the last 2 weeks. I will post a video about it soon. But if you're here, you heard it not first, but like you heard it third, I guess. Or join the Discord if you're not already in it. Link tree in my bio for information always quickly. But yeah, I've joined Chorus. I want to clear up, by the way, unequivocally, there's literally nothing in that contract that was like, you have to show this opinion or you don't even have to post anything. Like that narrative was like fully made up. I received this contract thinking like, okay, if this is something bad, I'm not going to sign it. And it's like a totally normal, totally fine contract that has nothing to do with you must express these opinions or else. Nothing like that at all. Literally at all. So that was silly.
The answer is
I feel
yes,
like
of course.
You know what I'm saying.
I don't know what
you're
you're
pretending
saying.
not to.
I don't, because it makes no sense.
I'm asking if you were to accept the premise, which is how we define fascism, then would you accept the conclusion that Trump meets that definition?
Yeah, you're asking me the same thing. You're just saying if it's the case that you accepted this, would you be accepting this?
No, but I'm not asking you to accept that Trump's
I am using TikTok Studio and OBS. Yeah, and I'm on a Mac.
fascist. I'm asking you to accept my definition of what fascism is.
I
and then
don't
ask me if that
accept
applies
your
to Trump.
definition of.
That Trump's a fascist. I'm asking you to accept my definition of what fascism is.
I
and then ask
don't
me if that
accept
applies
your
to Trump.
definition of fascism for the last time, for the
I know
300th
you
time.
don't. Dude, you
But
know
if
what
you
I'm
say,
saying. You
but
know
if
what
you
I'm saying.
say,
Don't do
I
this.
don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you do.
I actually don't. Use small words. Pretend I'm really stupid.
We don't have to pretend, Andrew.
definition.
This specific exchange, because it's like, as a grown man, I'm like, come on, bro. Like, you don't have to do this, Andrew. You know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Can we all just fucking grow up for a second? Clearly not. Clearly not.
Of fascism for the last time, for the
I know
300th
you
time.
don't. Dude, you
but
know
if
what
you
I'm
say,
saying. You know
but
what
if you
I'm saying.
say,
Don't do
I
this.
don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you do.
I actually don't. Use small words. Pretend I'm really stupid.
Okay.
Whoa,
Do you
whoa. Someone said that's why you're cooked. You're on a Mac. Ew. No, ew is Windows. Okay. I hate Windows. This is an M3 Pro MacBook with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's smooth as butter. It's just TikTok Studio and OBS that give me trouble. I don't know why. The M series MacBooks are solid on performance, in my opinion. Hold on. There's no way we're finishing this, by the way. Windows Supreme or something. Oh my goodness. Apple can't handle streaming. This is just not even. This is an Andrew argument. What does Apple mean? Which machine are we talking about? How many gigabytes of RAM? Which chip? Come on, guys. Come on. I'm fully in the Apple cult. I'm sorry. I just am. And it's not because, like, oh, it's expensive or whatever. It's just, it's so streamlined. I can text from my laptop. I can access my phone directly from my laptop. I can take phone calls from my laptop. I have my Apple Music and Apple TV and everything synced up and the AirPods. It's so streamlined. It's so streamlined. It's either drivers or software version updates needed. I wonder if the TikTok Live Studio thing is maybe optimized for Intel Macs and not for M chip Macs or M series Macs. My only flaw is crazy. Okay, it's frozen again. It's wow. And actually, in fairness, I used to go live from a Windows laptop for a little bit. And this also happened on that Windows laptop, although that was a very weak Windows laptop. There we go. And it happens much less. It didn't happen on OBS last time. I don't know. Starting to mute and flag YouTube and other platforms being streamed. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to download an update or something. My bad, bro. But no. Here's the thing, guys. I love a little fun. I used to be such a tech person. I used to be the Android guy who was like, I have a 30 megapixel camera. Does the iPhone have that? And I learned the error of my ways. I used to be a Windows guy, a Google Pixel guy. Hey, there's more customization. There's more customization on here. And then I got an iPhone, I got a MacBook, and it was like, what is that stuff in Percy Jackson that they eat and they drink? It's like ambrosia. It's like once you have a taste, you're like, oh my goodness. Isn't fucking freeze every 2 seconds? You can't, it's like much harder to download a virus on these machines. But I'm not, it's all in good fun. I like kind of poking the other OSs. I used to watch all these people like MKBHD and fucking Your Average Consumer and Android Authority and all these fuckers. And there was like these iPhone versus Windows versus Android battles. That shit is fun. It's like a team sport. It's fun to just talk shit about that stuff.
For the 300th time.
Dude, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Don't do this.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you do.
I actually don't. Use small words. Pretend I'm really stupid.
Okay. Do you understand that when we are applying labels to people, whether or not that label applies to the person is not just a question of how you define the label, but once you've established that definition, whether or not the person actually fits in line with the description of that label. So you could say, I accept your definition, Adam, but Trump does not meet those affirmative claims that you've made. Because Trump actually, for example, legitimately thinks that he has the right to do these things. His lawyers tell him he has the right to do it. He legitimately thinks that James Comey and Letitia James are enemies of the state. And therefore, he's not engaging in bad faith. He's not punishing his opponents.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. I just need you to understand that it's a complete tautology. What you're asking me to do is grant this so that we can move to something else. Okay, I get that. Well, you are. What you're saying is, can you accept that my definition within its framework is coherent?
Morally relevant distinction. Can you define zero sum? Can you define zero? He's going to Google it. It's okay. I wish Andrew just Googled it instead of saying no compromise, no negotiation, no nothing.
Definition is being coherent.
Just saying, if you accept my definition, would Trump meet it? I don't know why you're overcomplicating.
Yeah, if I accepted, yes, but
This entire exchange to me is so unreal. Even watching it back, he kept it up for so long.
you accept that my definition within its framework is coherent if you accept my definition as being coherent.
Just saying, if you accept my definition, would Trump meet it? I don't know why you're overcomplicating.
Yeah, if I accepted, yes, but it's tautological, of course. If I accept your definition of fascism, would the guy you're calling a fascist meet the definition that you've tailored to the guy? Sure.
Tailored to the guys, if I didn't just reference like argument, what is it? Appeal to authority.
No, but if I gave the same
Yeah, but so
definition of
what?
fascism and said, like, is Obama a fascist? You would say, no, by your own definition, Obama does not meet that criteria.
And I'm
right?
telling you that here right now with ultranationalism.
No, but then you're using.
Do you understand what affirmative claim means? Affirmative claim, it means no negotiation, no compromise, no nothing, right?
Your definition of ultranationalism.
Yeah, because
not
what's
mine.
going on here is this. Okay, do you understand that if I said fascism is the belief that we should be moving towards a stateless society, right? And you're a communist.
Oh yeah, he tries to give this hypothetical here, and it does nothing to prove his point. It proves my point. Hold on, is it frozen on? Oh my god, bro, why is this so fucking pervasive? Holy shit, deep state's like trying to stop me. Restart capture. Okay, and we're ending this shit soon, bro. It's already 3:30. Holy fuck.
Fascism is the belief that we should be moving towards a stateless society, right? And you're a communist, let's say, right? Would you accept that as the definition of fascism?
I wouldn't, but you're saying if I did, then
You
what's the-
wouldn't.
yeah.
And but if you did, then you
Mhm.
would be agreeing with me, right? If you did.
Not necessarily.
Hang on, no. If you accepted that as my definition,
Give me the
then you would
definition
be-
again.
Yeah, that communism is a movement towards the stateless, or fascism is a movement towards a stateless society.
But then who'd you be applying that definition to? Just give me an
Well,
example.
Let's just say in this case, Bernie Sanders.
Okay, and then I could say, Andrew, I accept your definition hypothetically, but even by accepting that definition, Bernie Sanders is not moving towards a classless society, therefore he's not a fascist, right?
And notice how that involves discussing Bernie Sanders' positions, right? He's like, fuck. He's not letting me go on this point. He's really.
Even by accepting that definition, Bernie Sanders is not moving towards a classless society, therefore he's not a fascist, right?
Okay.
So I could take your premise and entertain it temporarily and see if within that framework Bernie Sanders would or would not meet it. And you're
So-
not doing that with me.
So if I tailor fascism is just men who have brown beards, they're all fascists. That's my definition. Can you tell me how you don't meet the criteria of being a fascist now?
I feel like my beard is more black, but I get your point.
Black.
Yeah, I would say sure.
You would say sure. So
Yeah,
okay,
but that's not
so-
analogous to what I'm saying.
But
no.
hang on. So it does apply. My definition's coherent and does apply to you being a fascist because you have a black beard, right?
If that's how we're defining it.
Right. So what all you're saying there, do you understand how this becomes tautological? A fascist is you because you are a fascist. You have a black beard, therefore you're a fascist.
If
Andrew,
you
I
said
accept. Hang on,
fascism is
Andrew,
when
I
someone
accept-
has a black beard, and then you asked, is Santa Claus a fascist by that definition? I would say no.
Okay, well then here, let's just do it this way then, right?
Yeah, true.
Anybody who's from Africa is a fascist by my definition. That's what a fascist is. Do you agree?
Cool. I don't agree, but
Anybody who has
Let's
ancestry
entertain it.
from Africa, do you accept that as my definition of fascism?
I don't. But if I was to internally just say, okay, let's accept it as a premise for the
Okay.
sake of argument, then who are you calling a
Does
fascist by that?
does Barack Obama now fit the criteria for fascism by
You
my
said anyone who's
definition?
descended from Africa?
Mhm.
By that definition, every human being on Earth would.
Okay, but you have to have like, I don't know, 30% DNA.
I don't know what he's trying to do here by adding these details to the hypothetical. Like, what the fuck is this, bro?
Something.
Okay, I don't know Obama's exact racial makeup. I'd assume, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so then what have we established there though? Would you
That
agree with
your-
me that that's what fascism was?
No,
Or would you reject that definition?
I'd reject that definition.
And what would you
You've been rejecting mine?
And so you would reject that definition under the premise that, hey, wait a second, that's not what it is. Here's what it actually is, which is what I'm doing to you.
It's how long are we going to do this, dude? Like,
as
okay,
long as it
let me ask
takes.
you.
As
long
long as it
takes.
fucking takes.
Love that. Let me ask you a question. I want to see if you
Here I was like, you know what? Let me just explicitly try pivoting to substance. He loses his shit, bro. He refuses.
still hold this same position. I've seen you say that Trump complied with the Supreme Court to bring back Abrego Garcia. And
Yeah, I'm
dignify
not
them.
deviating from any of that. I'll grant all this. It doesn't show how Trump's a fascist.
No, but you're granting it for the sake of argument,
I
right?
can just say that I'm wrong. Yeah, sure.
But you don't want to
Granted.
engage with the substance.
It's irrelevant to the topic. It's tangential. You're trying to escape
No,
the topic.
it's relevant to my definition of fascism.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
On what?
Whatever it is that you want to say here about.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Some guy named Garcia.
This is getting hard to watch, bro. I feel like I'm watching something. What is he doing? This is so hard. I think he knows. He knows what this was. Sup, Khan? Andrew Wilson here. Saw you live. Enjoyed our debate. Hope you have a good night and have fun. You too, Andrew. I had fun as well. I truly enjoyed it. And congrats that you ended up on Joe Rogan. Good job.
I saw you do a debate where someone said, oh, Trump didn't comply with the Supreme Court to bring back Garcia. And he was like, well, did Garcia get brought back eventually? Checkmate, liberal. So I'm just asking if you still stand by that. Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm genuinely asking if you still stand by that.
He makes this argument every time he talks about, oh, Trump really defied the courts if he did this. He doesn't want to engage with it here because he knows I know what he's going to say.
Or not. That
Who
Trump
gives a
complied.
shit? What the fuck does that have to do with fascism, dude?
Because one of the pillars is authoritarianism, and I think engaging with our judicial branch in bad faith and defying or not complying with court orders is probably indicative of authoritarianism.
Yeah, but I can grant that it's authoritarianism, and it still doesn't get us to fascism. That's the problem.
Yeah, not on its own.
That's right. So that's why I'm
I
willing
told
to
you,
see the
Andrew,
argument, because it's
this is-
irrelevant. It's
Yeah,
tangential
it's like-
and fucking irrelevant.
It's like I told you, Andrew, a house is made of bricks and foundation, and it has a door and a ceiling. You're like, is that brick a house still, liberal? I don't think so. It's just like,
If
what are
you were
doing?
to set the criteria for what makes a house, and it has to meet these different qualifications,
In conjunction.
in conjunction, then sure, I could say that meets the definition, and we agreed that that's what the pillars were for the house.
It has to be, guys. It has to be act. It must. What goes up, what must come down, and this must be act. Frozen. Oh my god, again. What, bro? What? Okay. What the hell? What's going on here, bro? Hold on. Despite having 3 monitors, this shit just gets so confusing sometimes. Hold on. There we go. Doggo does not need... She comes to my door and starts barking to get let in. She comes in. Now she's just staring at me and whining. I think she just wants me to pet her, but... Okay. It's because wait for it, Mac. No, this is bullshit, bro.
You can
Pure
say that. It
act.
can be. It can
The
be.
fascists themselves describe it as pure act. That's the whole philosophy is pure act.
I'm giving the dog
It's
attention.
literally
I'm-
called
I'm-
pure act philosophy, dude.
I'm petting her on the side.
What, in
don't
the
worry.
Italian iteration of
I'm not gonna bring out the shock collar yet, guys. I'm petting her for now, but she steps out of bounds. It's zapping time.
fascism?
No, in all of it. Okay, so if we were to look at Nazi Germany, is that ultra nationalist?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not
Why?
super familiar with German history.
Why?
I think there was probably a lot more ideological as well as rhetorical because they had complete subservience to the state there.
But there was an ideology there of
As
like
well.
moving the Third Reich
But that ideology
1,000 years.
was demonstrated with propaganda and speeches, which were
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
to justify
sure.
the power grabs. It's a pretty
Sure,
important
sure.
functional definition.
It's not that you can't utilize propaganda for a fascist state. Only that you can have a fascist state absent propaganda, and you can't have a fascist state with.
Is this an argument that anyone would make? I've never. You can have fascism without propaganda? Maybe someone argues this. I don't know. Maybe someone argues. How isn't propaganda like a very, very key part of fascism? How do you? I don't
Just
know, bro.
propaganda.
Oh,
That's
I
the
disagree.
problem.
I think propaganda is a key pillar of fascism. It's one of the pillars that Jason Stanley lays out in his book.
Okay, wait a second. Let's see if we can get agreement here.
Okay.
Do you agree that we can have a fascist state without propaganda?
I guess it's potentially possible. By the definition I'm using, though, no.
So it's possible and not possible, or it's not
Yeah,
possible.
by like a different definition, because as I opened with saying, the definition of fascism is still disputed by scholars. So I'm sure someone could make that case. I would probably not make that
Well, I'm
case.
asking you. I'm not asking
not
these
according to
guys.
my definition.
So you can't have a fascist state that's not propaganda, that doesn't use propaganda.
Please don't be a Hassan fan. Don't worry. Don't worry.
No.
So you couldn't have. Okay, what about this? Do you agree with me then that it is the case?
Yeah. This is at this point I was like, what the fuck are we doing, bro? How much time? 2 hours left of this. Holy fuck, bro.
That fascism is antithetical to democracy.
Substantively, yes, but in terms of like appeal and presentation, probably not necessarily. No.
So you can have democratic fascism.
You can have the sort of like veneer of democracy being used to legitimize the state.
Could you
the
have
same way they'll use
democratic
the veneer of
fascism?
law and order?
Can you have democratic fascism where people
It depends
vote?
on if you're asking me in substance, or I mean, you can have only one person on the ballot and then people can vote. But I mean,
okay, no, but I mean, can you have a democracy in which everybody votes and it's still a fascist society?
Yeah.
So you can have democratic fascism.
That's in Robert Paxton's stages. Yes.
So you can have democratic fascism.
It would be an earlier stage of fascism, but yeah.
But that's totally antithetical to what fascism was. Fascism
Take it up
itself,
with Robert Paxton.
I'm taking it up with you. I'm not arguing with Paxton. I'm arguing with fucking you. So Paxton,
He's so triggered.
when you're talking about democracy and fascism, this is one of the limiting characters of what it is that you're saying that I think you don't even really agree with it. Fascism itself, it has to be autocratic. It has to be in some way autocratic because the corporatism aspect of it, the entirety of the body.
Yeah, notice how like uptight he is about definitions after not knowing what zero sum means, after not knowing what Paxton and Stanley think about Trump. You can't be this cutthroat about definitions when you don't know the meaning of half the words you're using. You just can't. Like
the second representation of the fasci. The first representation of the fasci is the autocratic leader. Democracy can't.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna hop off here like 3:45. It's getting late as fuck. Holy shit.
Work in these instances because if you had a democracy, you could not have corporatism. That was the whole problem. One of the problems we're solving.
Is autocraticness binary?
Yeah,
like could a system trend to?
What the fuck does he think binary? I didn't catch this. Anyone hear this?
One of the problems we're solving.
Is autocraticness binary?
Binary meaning like it's either one thing or another, right?
Yeah,
like could a system
autocrat one, not autocrats. Autocrat one. I don't even understand what joke to make about him here because I don't know what he's even saying. What is he talking about?
In these instances, because
the cope is diabolical. Yeah.
If you had a democracy, you could not have corporatism. That was the whole problem. One of the problems we're solving.
Is autocraticness binary?
Yeah.
Like could a system trend towards autocracy, but you'd have to wait till like all hope is lost to call it an autocracy?
You would just an autocracy would just be a leadership of one.
Centralizing power with one or like a very few amount of people. I'm asking like as that process is being undergone.
Wouldn't that be
talking about you coping? That means no compromise, no negotiation, no nothing, right? That's what coping means.
A plutocracy? If there was multiple people?
Sure, fair. With one person. What I'm asking you is, isn't there a process through which
Andrew heard binary and thought LGBTQ. Oh, now you want to leave? Okay, I'll be back in a second. Time to shock this dog. I'm sorry, guys. I have to bring out the shock collar. Just take the L or come back for round two. Bro, it's shocking to me how brain rotted this guy's followers are. They can't even... I don't even know if they understand that he argued what zero sum means without knowing what it means. But I guess if that's your guy,
it doesn't
then
just
good job.
appear in existence, right?
Well, that would be wouldn't that be a plutocracy if there was multiple people?
Sure, fair. With one person. What I'm asking you is, isn't there a process through which autocracy is achieved? It doesn't just appear in existence, right?
Well, it can be achieved many different ways.
All I'm arguing is that states can do autocratic things and not be 110% autocratic.
Yeah, but what I'm arguing to you is that fascism as an ideology requires actually you to have an autocrat, and you have to have the autocrat, or else the body of the state doesn't work correctly. You can't actually have. In fact, I used to clown on leftists on TikTok all the time. They don't understand the third position. I would ask them this question: do you believe?
My Rose, bro, you can have. She's so extra. I don't know why. She only does this when I'm live as well. She's quiet as fuck when I'm not live, and whenever I go live, maybe Hassan was on to something, bro.
that there can be democratic fascism, they would say no. I'd ask why not, because within the criteria you can have that.
Yeah.
You're ceding you can be democratic fascism.
As Robert Paxton says, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is here is like it's so antithetical to historic fascism. I don't
Your
understand.
perception of it.
To anybody's perception of it. It's ridiculous.
Except a significant portion of fascism scholars, which again, I'm not forcing you to accept what they're saying.
Not a significant portion. There's some fascist scholars you may be able to point to, but you can't point to consensus here by your own admission. So don't do that. So
yeah,
don't do
I'm not
that.
saying there's consensus. But
Yeah,
Robert Paxton is considered the preeminent scholar of fascism.
When I'm thinking of the fascist dystopia in my head,
yes,
am I thinking
Now it's just that fascism is like the dystopia image in his head. It's not an ideal like.
States which
Are you about getting a shock collar? Yes, I'm trolling. It's a Hassan joke. I'm not.
sometimes take autocratic measures, right? But everybody gets to vote, right? It's hell divers. Like it's hell divers. Is it managed democracy?
I guarantee you, bro has no idea what competitive authoritarianism is. What is that? Managed democracy? At one point, you just started justifying fascism. Yeah, it's not too surprising. Frozen? Oh my god, bro. This is actually so fucking annoying. And yeah, someone pointed out it's a bug for Mac users in general. With these new fuckers that own the app, it's never getting fixed. Holy shit.
Fascist is, or are we thinking about what you're saying fascist is? Because when I think of fascism, we're thinking about autocracy. We're thinking about the system involved in autocracy. We're thinking about corporatizing. We're thinking about ultranationalism. Everything's moving towards the production of the state. Those are the things which would meet the makeup, I think, of almost everybody who we presented these different worldviews to. Don't you think almost everybody would be like, okay, this guy Andrew was making a good point here about what this fascism thing is. Don't you think so?
It depends on who's watching, but this is like saying that I can't call it cancer in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 4 or stage 3 or 4 even. Until the cancer is terminal, we can't call it cancer.
No, we just have to agree on what cancer is before we can get to the stages.
I highly doubt we're going to agree on what fascism is. I mean, and again, the purpose of the debate is not what is fascism. It's is Trump a fascist?
Right, but if we can't agree on what fascism is, how are we supposed to agree on if Trump is that?
By saying that by your definition, Andrew, I don't think Trump's a fascist. Then we can discuss if we accept my definition, is Trump a fascist or not? And then you can close the debate by saying, guys, just remember, I don't accept his definition. Or we can just continue going and we're not.
Yeah, but I don't.
I think I'm going to call it here because this is pretty much where I think he knows he lost here. Thank you to Liu Kang for the $2 super chat on YouTube. At one point, I did address this. Could you have argued that buying Intel is corporatizing? I could have. Yeah, that's a good point.
Saying that by your definition, Andrew, I don't think Trump's a fascist.
Agree on what fascism
is. I mean, and again,
we're going to close with this exchange here because it pretty much settles it, and then I'm going to end the live for today. Maybe we'll finish tomorrow, maybe not.
And the purpose of the debate is not what is fascism. It's is Trump a fascist?
Right, but if we can't agree on what fascism is, how are we supposed to agree on if Trump is that?
By saying that by your definition, Andrew, I don't think Trump's a fascist. Then we can discuss if we accept my definition, is Trump a fascist or not? And then you can close the debate by saying, guys, just remember, I don't accept his definition.
Pretty straightforward, right? I think everyone here understood what I just said.
Or we can just continue going and we're not.
Yeah, but I don't. Here. I literally. But here's the thing. I think that
he did not know what to do there because I laid out bro. If just say under my definition, sure he's a fascist, and then if you don't like my definition, just say, hey guys, I don't actually accept his definition though, but under that premise, Trump's a fascist. He doesn't want to say that though, because the point of him here is to say that I'm being dramatic by using the word. That's his entire point of doing this. So you can never ever cede that I'm using the word in a way that makes sense.
So this key-in problem here is on ultranationalism, honestly. The ultranationalism aspect and the ambiguity there, I feel like you're really banking on the ambiguity of not really committing to what that is. Like if I give you an example.
Zero sum.
Yeah. That's nice that you say that, but it doesn't tell us much. For instance,
it doesn't tell you much. You don't know the fuck zero sum is, bro. Okay. This was fun, everyone. Any last minute questions, comments, or concerns? Thank you to 176 people watching at literally almost 4 a.m. I guess it's not that late on Mountain Time and Pacific Time. Good night, y'all. I had fun. This was okay. When can I come head over right now, bro? I'll hand her over. I guarantee. I mean, she already stopped barking, but I guarantee you, the second I turn it all off and actually go to give her attention, now she doesn't want attention. She wants to go do something else. So Satisfying, thanks for owning Android Wilson. It was fun. It was so fun. It was so fun. I'm working third shift for 3 more hours. Entertain me more. Holy shit, what a patriot working hard. Go to my YouTube channel, Linktree in bio, and go to the live tab, and you'll find all my old lives, which are hours long, if you want to watch content like this. If you are watching here and you're new or you've seen me, don't know who I am, make sure you go to the Linktree in my bio, join the Discord, subscribe on YouTube. The stream's way better on YouTube, by the way. Like, layout is way nicer. So you should be watching on YouTube. And also because TikTok is what the fuck, right? Honestly, everyone here, we'd be having a way better time if everyone was just on YouTube. So everyone should start migrating there because I don't know how long TikTok's going to be working. Good night, Liu Kang, everyone else. Before I do hop off, any last minute questions, comments, or concerns about anything before I call it here? Good night, Uncle is crazy, bro. I just turned 24. I've said before, I've deciphered the science of Unk. Unk is 30, okay? And 25 rounds up to 30. So once I hit 25, then I can start saying, okay, Unk status is approaching or something. But how'd the debate end? With the Q&A section, I guess? There's so much of this left. And he's already out of stuff to say here. He's already out of arguments here at 1 hour, 8 minutes, and just continued for over 2 more hours. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how I did this. It's like in the moment, the adrenaline, it goes by like this. And then afterward, I'm like, fun though. Fun watching him squirm like that. And then I don't know if that was actually him in the YouTube chat. Is that actually him? Crucible Andrew? Who is this? I'm clicking it and like nothing's opening. Someone in the YouTube chat. Was that actually Andrew Wilson or just... It probably was. Which also is like, bro, what do I have on YouTube right now? Like 12 concurrent viewers, and Andrew's tuning in. And didn't Andrew just do Joe Rogan? Which I have to say, just in terms of logistics, props for ending up on Joe Rogan. It's hard to do that, I'm sure. But he allegedly was just on Joe Rogan, and now he's watching my 12 concurrent viewer stream. That tells me a lot. Tells me a lot. Very fun. Okay. Okay, everyone. Everyone stay safe.